I know many of you are getting ready to decorate your homes for Christmas, or maybe you already have. You're going to start on some Christmas baking and gifting. Maybe you're even going to make some of your own gifts. Over the years, I have shared tons of content when it comes to that. I've decorated this farmhouse multiple times for Christmas. Some things the same, some I took the theme in a whole different direction. I've even gone back and watched my old videos to remind myself certain areas of the home and how I want to decorate them again. So I use it as inspiration for myself from years past. Well, this year, as you know, we are moving. We're in the process of moving. We are back and forth. It has been a little difficult. And by Christmas time, we will be settled into our new home. And I do plan to decorate that home, but it's all going to be quite late in YouTube standards. So I have put together a video for you, a compilation video with all of my best Christmas content, some homemade gifts, some Christmas baking, some decor, decorating our farmhouse and providing inspiration there. The goal is for you to put this on in the background, enjoy the Christmas music while you're doing your Christmas wrapping, baking, decorating, shopping. The goal is to make a super festive video for you to play throughout this season. I got this idea from my friend Kristen over at Kristen Huffman. She did this and then she texted myself and a few of our other YouTube friends and said, hey guys, this is a really good video idea. And I loved the idea and thought that many of you would really enjoy it too, like so many of you did over on her channel, or those who follow her channel. Make sure to head over there, Kristen Huffman. But without further ado, sit back, relax, or put this on and don't relax. Get wrapping, get decorating, all that busy fun stuff. But hopefully this will at least be a calming, inspiring video that you can play in the background throughout this Christmas season. I did want to tell you real quick about this planner. Got my friend Hillary from Old World Home. This is a Christmas planner to keep you organized throughout the season. So go over to Old World Home here on YouTube, follow Hillary, and you can find out more about this very, very lovely 2024 Christmas planner. I hope that you are having a beautiful Christmas season so far. I can truly say that we are. The theme of my holiday home tour this year is cozy and very Christmassy traditional colors, but without the perfection. I didn't plan anything this year, kind of just winging it, taking the things that we already had saved up in the basement and putting them around the house in a bit of a different way. I have a few twists this year, but the tree is just some ornaments that we've had forever. After it was all decorated, I decided to add in some velvet ribbon to just tie them to the branches. I didn't want to weave ribbon through the tree like I usually do. It's so beautiful, but my toddler tends to pick at it and then the tree looks very not put together the rest of the year. So making it secure was my biggest goal, and I think I achieved that. Now we only have one Christmas tree. Well, I say that, and the kids actually do have Christmas trees in their rooms that they decorated themselves. But on the main level, we just have the one Christmas tree in the middle of the house that we can enjoy from every angle in our main living spaces. For the banister, I shared about this in a recent video, but I just did my usual greenery that I purchased many years ago from A Floral, or several years ago. It's very realistic looking, and added in some ribbons and ornaments this year. It's the first year I added ornaments. I did a lot with my white and red ticking stripe ribbon that I've also had for several years. I just store it away and use it in a bit of a different way with each year. It's a classic favorite of mine. I was thinking after adding in some velvet ribbon a few places here and there throughout our Victorian house that it suits the vibe really well. So maybe next year I will go a little bit away from the red and white ticking and more into the deeper tones of the velvet ribbon. As I was decorating, I was thinking, man, I didn't plan this at all. I guess it's something to do with having a new baby this year and all the other things going on. I didn't really think about the Christmas decor till it was going up. Still turned out in a way that makes the kids delighted. They're just so excited with how much coziness and cheer is throughout this home. But the vibe that I think I want to go for is actually what happened here in the mantle. Sort of those dark colors. I found these taper candles at a thrift shop or an antique shop, and they're dark and they're moody. And then the almost burgundy color linen stockings that I got from my friend Cami over at Tidbits. They also match the raisin colored sheets that I have. After decorating this room, it has more of a Victorian historic type of vibe. I think that I would like to carry that more throughout the house next year, as opposed to the country vibe, which I also really, really like. But I had the most fun decorating my bedroom, and I think that it had the style that is best suited for our home. Now, if you are a careful viewer, if you're the detective type, you've probably noticed that that clock is always set to the same time. It's because we haven't fixed it yet. It should be able to work because it's supposed to, but I just haven't gotten it fixed yet. So the same thing goes for the porch. I just brought out what I had. The whole goal was to create cheery, Christmassy home so that the kids are excited about it. It feels like Christmas. It feels like home. It's not perfection. The wreath I did make, I just added in some dried florals and a ribbon. We always have firewood on the porch because we heat with wood. I threw a few ornaments out there, some fresh greenery that we clipped from a tree, still have my ferns, still have my tan and white pillows over on the rocking chairs, and then I had some Christmas themed pillows for the porch swing that I've had for many years. Luke hung lights. They're vintage bulbs and they are so fun at night. And then I also took an additional wreath, since we have so many wreaths now, we've been collecting them over the years, and added a little bit of Christmas cozy to the cottage. I have a dried flower arrangement that sits out on the table that I made over the summer. I dried out, or late fall, I dried out several things that we had been growing. It looks pretty still, but the kids get their hands in it and it started to drop some leaves because it sits out all the time. It also didn't feel Christmassy enough. It didn't really blend in with the other elements of decor going on in the kitchen. So I just took some greenery and added that to it, and now it feels fresh and new and like it belongs in this space again. The kitchen, again, kept it pretty basic. I brought out my red dishes that I keep in my Christmas bin. Last year, or maybe the year before, I left them up for a good long while after Christmas time because I just enjoyed the red color so much. Obviously, red can go any time of year. It doesn't just have to be a Christmas thing, but it is one quick way to transform the kitchen to feeling more Christmassy. Of course, a cozy fire in the wood stove just outside of the kitchen always feels like Christmas. I do have a red and white blanket that I keep in this armoire. Throughout the rest of the year, I fold it backwards so that all you can see is the white. So whenever I open the cabinet, it goes with all of the other blankets that are in there. But then when it's Christmas time, I undo it and put the red side out. In a perfect world, I would have enough pillows and pillow covers to redo the pillows in here so that it isn't the usual blue. It looks a little bit patriotic, a little red, white, and blue. And then I have those green ones, which they're kind of fine for Christmas, but I think it all blends seamlessly enough with my usual decor, which was the goal. I have these little stockings that I picked up, I believe it was last year, and I put them on the tree last year as ornaments. I'm trying to remember where I got them. If I find that, I will be leaving a link down below. They are these little advent calendar type of stockings. So they have a date on each one, 1 through 25. So every day of December, you could put a little something in each one if you wanted to have the advent calendar style of tradition with your family. I'd really like to do that. I might still get on that. I need to get on that though, like today, if that's what we're going to do. They're just all so cute. They're made with, it looks like fabrics that the maker found at different thrift shops or collected over the years at antique shops. Some are lacy, some are grain sack. It's a collection I'll treasure for many years. Now, you saw that I put it on the wood stove. I love it there, but Luke said that it's a fire hazard. And now that he mentions it, he is definitely right. So they're going to be moved. I am making water kefir for a fun Christmas drink. So the way this process works is you take water kefir grains, you put them in sugar water, let them sit for 2 or 3 days to really ferment that sugar water. And then a second ferment, which is what I'm doing now, by adding grape juice or any kind of juice really. I thought grape juice would work really great for Christmas, to the finished water kefir. And then the finished water kefir continues to ferment in the grape juice. So you can start a new batch of the water kefir with the grains and then let the finished water kefir ferment with the grape juice. It makes this bubbly, delicious, my kids call it soda, but it's rich with probiotics. So if you can't tolerate dairy for any reason and you've seen me making kefir, water kefir is a great alternative. This is how it turns out. It turns out so bubbly and festive. Everyone in my family loves it. I got the grains from Cultures for Health. For many years, I never had to get new kefir grains because I just kept making it. They multiply, they grow, but I let my water kefir die. I've continued with milk kefir for a decade now, but water kefir comes in and out of my life. So whenever I want to do it again, I get some grains from Cultures for Health and then reconstitute them, and the process carries on from there. I have a few frames that I haven't added art to yet that I thought it'd be fun to do some Christmas or winter scenes, so that way it would be something we could enjoy all through the season. So here's my hack. I want to share with you how I do this in my home because I love art. It can be hard to find the kind of art that you want. So I go on Etsy, purchase and download the prints I want, and then the way that I make this work for each size of frame is in canva.com. I create a custom size and do the number of inches that the frame opening has. So I can do this for any size of frame. I just readjust the art to be the right size. It's cool whenever you have a lot of frames throughout your house. If you want to swap them out seasonally, you can stack the art in it. So each frame has different seasonal pictures and prints that are the perfect size. So like this ice skating scene, I have to crop quite a bit of the original art piece in order to make it fit in the size of frame that I have, but that's okay. That's why it's made just for this particular frame. I have this frame next to the shelves that I did on a recent kitchen upgrade where I organized my kitchen. I took down the cutting boards, put up some art. The colors just never quite vibed, and so we did some figs. I showed my daughter a picture of oranges and a print with figs, and she said definitely the figs. I also wanted to add bells and some of that velvet ribbon that I'm feeling very inspired by to some of the frames to give it more of a Christmassy feel. This print in the entryway, I found somewhere, thrift shop, antique shop. I always thought I would swap the art out. It wasn't my favorite, but I still liked how it looked there. It felt like a placeholder for me. Finally, I'm putting in this ice skating scene. I'll probably put in something else whenever it's spring. But this was a really quick and easy way to make our home feel more Christmassy in all areas. Plus, just give it something fresh. We look at all of these pictures and paintings and prints all the time, and it just took one afternoon to give them a whole new, fresh look. I go to my local print shop. I just send her the resized from Canva images. I make sure to save them in high quality resolution. And then I ask her to print them in matte version. So not glossy, but matte. Last time I forgot that. And when I got them back, they worked. They were just fine. It was my fault. But this time I made sure to specify matte. I ended up hanging the little stockings in the entryway along with the ice skating print, some greenery, a little velvet ribbon. Again, each time I used velvet ribbon and bells, it made me realize that this is the style I want to go for in this home. So hopefully I can remember what I'm saying right now next year and prepare a little bit ahead to have more of that fancy velvet, deep, dark colors style throughout the house. That's what I'm hoping for, but I like how it turned out anyways. I had a spot here in the living room where I plucked a picture that was very symmetrical with the paintings above both wingback chairs, and I never did swap it with anything. So if you've seen in some of my videos lately, just this open spot, yeah, I never did find anything else to put there because I stole that picture to put above the stove. Well, I just stole the one outside of the kitchen to put in the spot above the wingback. and then added the new little foraging in the snow lady with the bells in the flower spots, in the spot where there were some oil painted flowers. Anyway, I love doing stuff like this where I have a certain piece that it's maybe not perfect, just getting it up on the wall, almost like a placeholder, and then throughout the years or the seasons, swapping things in, getting closer and closer to maybe the perfect piece for that spot, but just starting somewhere. Of course, this wouldn't be a Farmhouse on Boone Christmas video if there wasn't something sourdough. Actually, it wouldn't be a Farmhouse video of any kind, Christmas or otherwise, if there wasn't something sourdough. So for today's menu, I am doing sourdough gingerbread cookies. The printable version of this recipe is over on farmhouseonboone.com. We also have sourdough sugar cookies, which are perfect for the Christmas season. We have so much fun decorating those. There are lots of different cookie recipes, all with sourdough versions. So for this particular recipe, I am doing a half cup of unsalted butter, softened, a cup of brown sugar, a half a cup of molasses, 1 egg, half a cup of sourdough starter. This can be sourdough discard. A teaspoon of vanilla, creaming that all together with the paddle attachment. You could also, of course, do this by hand or with a hand mixer. And then in a separate bowl, I'm doing 3 cups of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, a tablespoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of ground cloves, and half a teaspoon of allspice. Then adding the flour mixture to the bowl with the liquid ingredients. I divide that in 2, wrap it in plastic wrap, and then put it in the refrigerator for up to 3 days. You can actually even do it longer. I like about 3 days for the proper fermentation, for the proper taste. You can do it further ahead if you want to. After that, I lightly dust with flour my work surface, roll it out to about 1/4 inch, and then cut it into the gingerbread shape. I also today did some snowflakes. I thought that would be really pretty. There have been years where I've made my own gingerbread and then made it into gingerbread houses. It is tricky. It's not something that is great with children. It's something that in theory is really fun with kids, but I recommend if you're going to do those gingerbread houses, just buy the kits. Okay, that's just my personal opinion with a lot of little kids, and especially if you're trying to make them really beautiful. Now, if you want to make them yourself and create this masterpiece, say you have a couple hours all alone in your kitchen and you want to make that gingerbread from scratch, make a gingerbread house from scratch, that sounds super fun and you can go for it. But for the houses, I just let my kids get those kits. It is something we do every year. But whenever you're trying to make something that you actually want to eat, not just put it on display as a cute craft idea for the year, these sourdough gingerbread cookies are all quality ingredients. So that's kind of my goal with cooking and baking from scratch. I'll use sugar. I will use some things like all-purpose flour, but at least everything is quality. So I'm getting an organic all-purpose flour and organic sugar. I'm getting grass-fed butter. I'm doing sourdough to ferment the grains as much as possible before cooking with them. And then to make this icing, I have a royal icing recipe over on the blog as well. It's 4 cups of powdered sugar, 6 tablespoons of water, and 3 tablespoons of meringue powder. You can also use fresh egg whites, whip those until they're stiff. There are lots of recipes for that over on the interwebs that you can make a beautiful from scratch royal icing that makes it really easy to decorate gingerbread cookies. I am using a number 3 tip to put these small little lines and dots on the cookies. All of my kids were outside when I was doing this because I needed to photograph this for a blog post. Normally I would just let them have at it. So I got to do kind of what I was mentioning earlier, be all by myself in the kitchen and enjoy being a bit more detailed with these gingerbread cookies and the decorations on them. As you are planning and shopping, baking and decorating, I do wish you a very merry and joyful and peaceful Christmas season. Today I want to share with you 10 handmade Christmas gift ideas. I just love to add a personal touch at Christmas time, gift giving, by making some handmade gifts. Certain people in your life, maybe grandmas, aunts, mother-in-laws, parents, have pretty much everything they want, or they could buy everything they want. And so getting something handmade is a way that you can get them something that they might find really special and keep forever. Now, one way that I'm able to give some handmade gifts is I have my own embroidery machine, so I can make some personalized gifts. But the ones that I'm going to share with you today don't require any special tools like that. These are all things that you can make really easily. Some of them are sewing projects, but you could definitely get by with just a basic $80 or less sewing machine and make some of these gifts. The first one on my list is making your own handmade soap. Now, I don't mean creating your own lye soap with all of the tools. I'm just talking about buying a simple melt and pour goat milk soap base and making some handmade soap that looks really pretty and that you've customized for somebody for Christmas. Now, the real beauty in making your own handmade soap is that you can package it really pretty, and so it feels like a really nice gift. Now, if you're gonna be making this for a lot of people on your list, you could afford to invest in a special soap mold or maybe even a soap stamp. I saw some on Etsy where you can customize and write Merry Christmas or Made with Love, or maybe put your own name. You can buy anything on a soap stamp. So if you have something special, like maybe the name of your farm, you want to put that on a soap, you can do that and buy a little stamp. I'll link in the description below the shop that I found on Etsy that I really like. But you can also make this without investing in any extra tools. I've even made soap before just using a little wooden box, like maybe an antique wooden box, line it with some parchment paper and pour it in there. All you need is something that will serve as a mold. Now, some of my favorite combinations to make for Christmas gift giving are oatmeal cinnamon. Now, for this, you can use 1 pound of goat milk soap base, 10 drops of cassia or cinnamon essential oil, or a half teaspoon of ground dried cinnamon, and 2 tablespoons of quick oats. So you basically melt the soap base. You can either do that in the microwave or over a double boiler. Add in the add-ins. Now, if you're using something heavy like an oatmeal, you'll want to wait until the base has cooled just a touch so that all of the oatmeal won't sink to the bottom, or if you're using dried herbs or something like that, if you wait a little bit until it's a little bit cool, it won't sink right to the bottom. Pour them in some kind of a mold. Now, if you're gonna be making a lot of this, you can just buy a silicone mold on Amazon. I have one and I do find it useful. Then you'll wanna spritz it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Now, this just keeps the bubbles from forming. I have done it without this step and it's totally fine too. It's just the proper way to do it. Once it cools, you can pop it out. Option number 2 is a lavender honey soap. So to 1 pound of a goat milk soap base, add 10 drops of lavender essential oil and 1 tablespoon of honey, and then 2 tablespoons of dried lavender. Option 3 is a coffee soap for all the coffee lovers in your life. So 1 pound of melt and pour goat milk soap base and 2 teaspoons of coffee grinds. This will give it a really pretty color, a nice smell. Maybe you could package it with some coffee as like a little gift basket idea. Maybe a coffee mug would be nice to go along with this. Wrap it with some brown paper wrapping and some twine or Christmas ribbon. Maybe add a little sprig of lavender to the top. You could even maybe make like a custom little tag on canva.com that you can print off. Or maybe if you have like a family stamp that has your last name on it, you could stamp that on some brown paper and wrap it around. Just make it look really pretty. All right, the next gift idea on my list is kind of in the same category. That is homemade bath bombs. Now, my sister Laura over at Our Oily House has her own tutorial on how to do this. I have not put a tutorial on this channel, but you can check hers out. It's a simple process. You can add custom colors, some essential oil scents, and it'd be really great to throw that together with the soap idea, and then also a few other things that are on this list would make a really nice gift basket. You can make them in large quantities and then get everybody knocked out on your list. I like to do this kind of stuff for people on my list who I just don't know what to get and who kind of already have everything. All right, the third thing on this list is my linen and ruffle throw blanket. This one is a popular one. I have had so many people tag me on Instagram that they've made this. The reason is it's simple, it's cozy, and it's really, really pretty. Now, some people have brought up the cost of buying linen for the throw blanket. Here's the thing, you can totally use a cheap linen blend. They have them at Walmart. They have them on fabric.com. They have them on Amazon. I'll link in the description below some of my favorites, but there are definitely ways to make this blanket on the cheap, especially if you want to make up a lot of them for a lot of people on your list, because some places offer discounts. Like fabric.com, I know, offers, if you buy like 5 or more yards, there's a discount per yard. So you can make this blanket really inexpensively, and it's kind of just an impressive gift that people really enjoy because you've made it for them. And I personally have had 2 of my linen blankets for years now, and they're still well loved. We use them all the time. I even use them in the car seat for Daniel, and they're cozy and they're pretty, and they really truly are for beginners. Basically all you do is a linen piece and a flannel, right sides together with some ruffles in between. I'm telling you, they're simple. You could use my simple sewing series to make them. The next one on the list is beeswax candles. Now you can do this several ways. One is to go antique shopping and find every little candle vessel you can find. You can use an old crock, a little teacup, you can use a little tin measuring cup, anything you can find. I have a tutorial on here for when I have done this, gone to the thrift shop and made some reclaimed vessel candles with beeswax. You can also just use some mason jars. You can also make hand dipped candles by using long pieces of wick and dipping them into a long container full of beeswax. That's another option as well. The 5th one is body butter. Now I have shared so many variations of this on here. It's a simple concept. You can add any essential oils to customize it, to make it a special scent. You could add a little ribbon and a label. I do have a label on my blog. I'll leave the link in the description below. I have a whole gift basket that's DIY with tutorials and labels. So if you want the work of the label making done for you, you can do that, or you can just make your own on canva.com and print it out, say it's something special on it, maybe a personalized note to whomever you're giving the gift. Number 6 is DIY Christmas ornaments. I have several tutorials on here. You could do some kind of picture frame ornament where you put in a special picture for whoever you're getting this for, then tie a little piece of twine on the back and hot glue it, and that would be a special ornament. You can make one like I did with an embroidery hoop, either some grain sack fabric or linen fabric or an old sweater. You could do linen and then do a little needlepoint, maybe of a reindeer. Something simple like a needlepoint snowflake would be really nice, or you could even, if you're a little bit more advanced, write someone's name on there. I even thought about going to an antique shop and finding something small, such as an antique skeleton key, and making a little ornament out of that by hot gluing some twine to the back. That would be cute on a tree and make a beautiful Christmas gift, maybe a small collection of handmade ornaments, or use them as a pretty gift topper. The next one on the list is a linen apron. I have tutorials and measurements for child version in many different sizes and an adult version. These again just require some simple straight stitching, nothing fancy, and they're perfect as a hostess gift or anyone in your life who likes to cook. A nice handmade apron all folded up with a pretty little bow will be appreciated. I love to make them with linen, but they're also great if you're going to use some quilter's cotton or duck fabric. They are super simple to make and a useful gift. The next one is not necessarily handmade, but definitely thoughtful and made by you. And that is a photo calendar on Shutterfly or MPix or Snapfish. Any of those websites offer this. Every year we get one of these for my grandma. Actually, my sister Laura completely makes it herself, but she goes into each person's birthday and puts a little picture of that person. And then on the month page for that month, she will do a picture, if she can, get everyone that has a birthday in that month together. And that's just such a neat gift for our grandma because one, she's getting a little bit older and has a hard time remembering birthdays. Two, obviously she can see her family, which is something that grandmas love. And three, she already has everything and can just buy whatever she wants at this point. So getting something special like that is something that she can't really do for herself because she doesn't know how to operate the computer like that. But it is just a really special gift and she really loves getting it every year. So thanks to my sister Laura, if you're watching this, for taking the time to put that together. We all chip in on it, but she spends the time doing it. Also on those websites, obviously, you can do personalized coffee mugs. I thought about making one that has like a sketched version of our barn or our cottage and putting that on a mug. I know one year my sister-in-law gave my husband's grandma pictures of each one of her grandkids and their spouse on a mug, and she just thought that was great. So I think those kind of personalized photo gifts are especially great for grandparents or great-grandparents. The next one is homemade lip balm. I love making this. Whenever you make it, it makes a really high quantity. So it's a really perfect gift topper to give to everyone on your list because you can make a whole bunch at one time and give it out to everyone. It's also great because Christmas obviously falls in the wintertime and everybody's lips start to get kind of chapped. So it's a great remedy for that and very easy to make. The last one on my list for today is a simple pillow cover. There are so many ways you can make this. You can add a little ruffle on the outside. You could just make a simple basic pillow cover, which I have a tutorial for. It's so easy. It's something every homeowner on your list can enjoy. If it's Christmas time, you can make a red pillow they just get out at that time of the year. You can do a pillow cover from an old sweater like I showed for a nice cozy winter pillow. You could do my grain sack and ticking stripe pillow covers, which everyone seems to love. There's so many varieties and anyone on your list will love it. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed these 10 handmade gift ideas. I'm gonna have a blog post that goes along with this so that you can see the links to all of these projects and some photos for inspiration. There will also be the links in the description box below so that you can see them there. We have a very fun, festive Christmas week planned. Lots of special events coming up and just some other Christmassy things throughout this week. So we're gonna take you along with us. Tonight, we're gonna go do Journey to Bethlehem. This is something that we've gone to annually for many years now. We actually, this year, we planned a trip, which I'm also gonna be taking you on, during the one that we usually go to. So we found a different church that does it sort of near us. So we're gonna go to that for the first time tonight. So my first task is to go through bins, and this coat closet room just gets crazy all through the winter season, but get warm clothes because it's an outside event, and we'll head off to that. Journey to Bethlehem is a really fun event where you pretend to be a family that's traveling to Bethlehem for the census. Along the way, you meet up with Roman soldiers who are demanding their taxes and different people who are telling about the coming Messiah, telling Bible stories. It's a really fun event for the kids. Sometimes they're a little bit scared of the soldiers.
Could you tell them our family name?
Simeon.
Most likely you can find one in your area if you search Journey to Bethlehem. Probably at this point they're all done, but just keep it in mind for next year. Let me know in the comments below if you have a Journey to Bethlehem in your area.
God gave him the promise of a son, but because he doubted God, we're trusting in our coming Messiah.
The gift of frankincense.
You mean plenty of trouble. Tell me the true nature of your business.
That live nativity last night was super fun. It's a little bit different than the one that we are used to going to, but still great. I am shocked at how many things we have coming up this week. It's kind of ridiculous. I didn't even realize it, but it's the next night and we have a Christmas event right in our town. So I'm packing up all the same warm stuff. First there's indoor crafts, then after dark it's outside. So we're gonna be freezing. So I packed everybody's, including myself. I don't care if I feel like a dork. I want to be warm. So I packed all of our coveralls. I'm getting water bottles for everybody. And hopefully that's enough to keep us out until it's over.
Now getting some pom-poms. Now tell me when to glue and we can do it. So you have a sticky piece of paper and then you put these little papers onto it. Okay. And then you put another sticker on top and it shines through the window.
Oh, that's cool.
See, like the ones up there.
You can do some crafts. The craft portion was held in an old church. Whenever I saw the sign for how old the church was, I had to find somebody who went there to show me around a little bit because I knew that the sanctuary would be so pretty, and I was not disappointed at all. I was talking about during my fall videos this year that I really wanted to embrace the fall season, so we did just that. We went to every pumpkin patch, every apple orchard. We did fall soccer. My sister and I had something going on for fall every chance we could, and we're taking the same approach this Christmas. Now, sometimes for me, that's a more stressful approach. Sometimes it makes me really just feel happy about the season that I'm going through, because for me, I don't really love winter and I'm trying to be joyful about it. And so I guess my way of coping with that this year is by doing a lot of things. Now, like I said, sometimes that's fun, sometimes it's not. This year, we did a lights walkthrough. We had to wait in line a long time and it was a little bit crowded, but good memories of walking through, I don't even know, thousands, millions of lights. The next night, we did my sister's annual cookie baking day. She does this for our other church that we usually go to, the Journey to Bethlehem. They like to bring a lot of cookies to it, and so we bake at my sister's house. Now, we won't actually be there because we're going on our Branson trip, but we still made cookies. Okay, again, before I record this segment, I need to apologize for the very loud noisemaker. I am right next to Theodore's room, and nap time's like the only time I have to record stuff like this, and so it's like either it's a loud house with lots of kids or it's nap time and there's noisemakers, because Theodore will wake up at like anybody walking above his room or anybody running in and out of the house. And so this is like the only way I found to keep him asleep, which means that you have all of this white noise. Okay, with all that being said, this weekend we are taking a family trip down to Branson, Missouri. If you're in like the Midwest area, or Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, maybe Illinois, Kansas-ish area, you've probably heard of Branson, Missouri. It is actually a really fun place. So we're going to go to Silver Dollar City. We're gonna see Christmas lights. We're gonna go down to Sight and Sound Theater, which I've seen, what, 4 shows there. They've all been incredible. If you live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, or Branson, Missouri, or nearby, you are lucky enough to be able to go to a Sight and Sound Theater. I'd highly recommend that. Okay, so a few weeks ago, I did my Christmas Decorate With Me video. The tree looked really pretty, but my tree has since been hit by the toddlers. So we have, I guess, 2 kids that'd be considered toddlers, 3, and I used to shy away from putting up a Christmas tree because of the toddlers. I no longer do that, but I do have to, about mid-season, re-fluff the tree, put the ribbon back on, put the ornaments back on, and make it look pretty again. I like the glow of the Christmas tree enough at night in our living room, and the LED candles and just that cozy glow enough to deal with that. Maybe for you that's not worth it. In years past it wasn't worth it. At this point of my life it is. Now, because I'm going to be refluffing the tree, I also grabbed a few more ornaments. So I said in my last video that I did Christmas decorating in that I kept the house really minimal, and that's still very true. I'm not getting out any more decor, but I really wanted the tree to look better. I guess I underestimated the amount that I care about how pretty my tree is. And not that this has been really driving me crazy, but I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna put a little bit more effort into the tree since I'm already gonna be taking everything off. Not everything, but a lot of the ornaments and ribbons have been pulled off by toddlers and just thrown back on haphazardly. I'm going to take some time to make it more me. So I got a few more ornaments, just some basic red and gold ones. I also found the cutest little handmade boutique called Penny and Ivy. And she makes these little, I'm dropping them, but she makes these little stockings, and they can be used as an advent calendar. I actually saw this most adorable way to hang these over on Pantry Hill on Instagram. She shows how she puts them on a like copper rack and with some greenery and clothespins. Looks so cute, and that's actually something I want to do next year. But since it's already past the start of being able to use the advent calendar because we're already well into the 25 days, I'm just going to use these as ornaments this year. I think that they are so pretty and charming, and they'll fill the tree out really nicely. The other day I was sitting down and I was like, you know what? That tree, it deserves more effort. I'm going to, even though it's already midway through the month and, you know, I feel like I should have done this a month ago, I'm going to, for the remainder of December and probably all of January, as this tree is sitting in here, put in a little bit more effort. So I'm gonna add some more warm lights. I'm gonna re-fluff all of the ornaments and the ribbon and make my tree pretty again. Now you might be wondering how I'm going to keep this from getting toddlered again, and to an extent I'm not going to, because stuff will get messed with, but I did put some clothespins in to secure the ribbon on, which I forgot that I used to do that in the past and it works so well. I also wrapped the ornament hooks around just a little bit better. So now that I'm editing this video, this tree has been up for another week or so-ish, and it looks almost as good as whenever I first did it. So I think that is going to help a ton. All right, now off to Branson. The decor in this restaurant we went to was a very good start to our trip to Silver Dollar City. It was adorable. I loved every piece they had in there. The next day we met up with Luke's brother and sister for donuts. If you're in or around Branson, check out Parlor Donuts. Then we went to 417 Vintage Market. It was so pretty. I loved looking at all the decor, and Theo even fell asleep right in my arms. Okay, if you ever do find yourself in Branson, Missouri, you need to stop by Ozark and go to all the antique shops and go to Finley Farms. It's a really neat restaurant. I've been there 3 times now. Every time I am in that area, I always want people to go there. I like introducing people to it because it's just so pretty, well done, beautiful outside seating and indoor seating. We took our group of 20 here and it actually went totally fine. Okay, the last thing I got this week as far as Christmas footage goes, yes, we did do all of this Christmas stuff in a week. I really can't even believe it. I feel like we were taking full advantage of the season. Is a holiday house walk. I've never been on one of these, but essentially a city puts it on and they give you a list of houses that you can visit and go in and look at all of their Christmas decor. So it's really fun because there's a lot of historic houses in this area, and so I really hoped to see a lot of those houses. Now, I feel like we didn't get to go into as many of the historical ones as I'd hoped, but it was still fun. This was a nice little into our Branson trip. My sisters and I and my mom all went on it, and my niece and my daughters. And so we had fun touring houses. This would be the treats that Santa would bring for you. Oh, wow. Do you know what we have there? Do you know what any of that is?
Dates, nuts,
That's caramel. Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonmoon.com, and today I'm going to take you on my 2021 Country Christmas Home Tour. This year I went with similar theme that I pretty much always do, which is a lot of natural elements like greenery, dried orange slices, pine cones, berries, things like that. This year I did incorporate lots of the traditional red Christmas color. Now in years past I've done blue and I really find that so beautiful, but this year I just wanted to do a very traditional Christmas in our 1860s Victorian farmhouse. Starting in the kitchen, I brought some Christmas cheer to the shelves above our 1949 vintage range by adding some red transferware. I swapped out the blue that we had there before, brought in a little bit of my red collection, which I have quite a bit of. I also added greenery, eucalyptus, some dried sage, and faux berries to ironstone pitchers to bring in some green and red there. For the windowsill, I took down my normal green plants, which stay up all throughout the year except for Christmas time. I put those in our bathroom, like I keep them alive there through the Christmas season, and then just added some fresh greenery, candles, eucalyptus, and pine cones. I also hung an apron on a hook. I really like to bring in seasonal colors with an apron. As simple and silly as that sounds, it just does add a nice pop of color to the right of our hutch. And so I added a red and white striped apron. On our dining table, I just added some rosemary and oranges in a basket, which I love using natural things like that for decor. My mom got me a little Christmas tea towel that I added to the handle on the range, and I think that that is really pretty and it's classic Christmas colors. I also added some Christmas mugs to our hutch that has a glass front so you can peek through and see those. I kind of just put everything that didn't match to the back of the hutch and brought that to the front. One of my favorite Christmas decor tricks is adding wreaths to hutch doors. I might get a little bit too crazy with this one because I did it, let's see, 4 times in this Christmas home tour, but I just love it. And so I used some really thick ticking stripe ribbon, which I will link below where I found it. It's my favorite ribbon. I bought a bunch of it and I just added those to the front. Now I swapped out the lavender, which I had for the summer, with some greenery wreaths there. For the entryway, I didn't do a whole lot. I brought in a small flocked Christmas tree and I'd purchased some gingerbread ornaments online that I thought were bigger and they weren't. And so I let the boys just put those randomly on that tree because the proportion and scale was better for the little tree with those small ornaments.
We're good at this. Yeah, we are good at this.
Thank you. You should.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're just gonna lay it in like flat or skate it up?
Whatever you want. Standing up.
Probably wouldn't work though when you go to get it out.
Yeah, it'd probably work okay.
All right, I'll do that.
Don't stuff it too.
Oh yeah, that's true. Also, Luke had the idea to bring in a box for firewood because our wood stove is right in our entryway area, which is actually perfect because it's central to the whole house. Off of the entryway is the kitchen, the main bedroom, the living room, the bathroom. And so this will just make it really convenient all winter long to add wood overnight. Otherwise, if it's a really cold night, he has to go out on the front porch to load the stove in the middle of the night. And so this will be really convenient, and it's also, in my opinion, really nice decor. I was like, oh, that is a really good idea because I have nothing else for our entryway. I also have a sewing cabinet right when you first walk into our home. That's where I keep my sewing machines and all my notions and fabric. And I added a couple of wreaths to the doors there. In the bathroom, I don't usually decorate the bathroom for Christmas. I just did a little ironstone pitcher with some greenery, and that's about it. For going up the steps, I found some really natural looking garlands. They actually look totally real. My kids thought they were. And more of that red ticking stripe ribbon. I made bows, and then I added my favorite thing, which is remote operated LED battery candles. I love them for at nighttime. I just flip them on whenever it gets dark at like 5 o'clock, and it illuminates it so nicely, and it's just really cozy. I want to get more of those candles for next year, but for now, I just invested in those 6. They weren't very expensive at all. I actually just found them on Amazon. For the dining room, I redid the hutch with my red transferware and greenery. I added some wreaths with ribbon. I do like to leave my hutch doors open because I think that you can see everything that's inside of it better. So when it's decorated seasonally, I really just like to leave them open and drape those wreaths. For the tree, I originally decorated it one way. I wasn't super happy with it, so I changed a few things from whenever I first decorated it here on my YouTube channel last week. I brought in some more red ornaments. I also added some tan ribbon in addition to the red and white ticking stripe ribbon. I made some dried orange slice ornaments. I added pine cones. I also already had some berries, lots of bells. I love Christmas bells. That's probably my favorite Christmas decor other than natural things is bells. They're all over this house. There's probably too many of them. I also took off the ribbons I had tied. I tied some bows on there. I don't know why. I just didn't end up liking it. But I felt like the tree needed a lot more. It really felt sparse. So by adding those few other things, and then I put some packages below with the same natural colors like white, tan, black. I added in a little bit of red and green. I think that it finally looks good. I also did add those same candle lights that I had last year that clip on. I love those. I will also leave all links below. I brought in a couple of red grain sack pillows for the couch, and that pretty much sums up the living room. Oh, I also did add a couple of knit stockings to the pie safe as well. That pie safe has actually become a bookshelf. We have tons of books, not enough bookshelves, and so that is what we actually store in there now, is books. For our main bedroom, I added wreaths to our armoire, which is where we keep our clothes because we have no closet. Behind me, you will see our faux mantle that I brought in an orange slice garland that I made last year. I just dried the oranges and then just strung them on some jute twine. I brought in some knit stockings. I layered a couple of different greeneries so it would be nice and full. I also added in some bells and eucalyptus and beeswax candles. Now, I know some of you are gonna ask me why only 4 stockings. I have all personalized stockings for my kids with their names on it, and those I will stuff and set out Christmas morning, but I didn't, it's really would be hard for me to decorate this mantle and fit all the stockings. Plus, now this is not our living room, it is our bedroom. So we do have enough stockings for everybody, I just did not hang them. I also brought in a red and white quilt just to add a little bit more color. I made these linen pillow covers on my bed by adding some red piping to the outsides and embroidering on a little red design to bring out more of that red Christmas color. For the side porch door, I brought in a wreath with some bells and red ribbon. And then I added some greenery, a massive bell, and a rug that I use as sort of a table runner on our blue dresser. Now you'll notice throughout my whole Christmas tour that there is lots of blue. I use blue constantly, and so there's no possible way I could swap that all out for Christmas. And so the blue just kind of flows in nicely with the Christmas decor. And then I even actually brought in a little bit more blue in the blue velvet ribbon on the packages. I really just embraced the blue. I swapped out the print behind our bed with a Christmas print, which I just found on Etsy and then I had printed at a local print shop. I think they charged me like $3 for it. I have the best print shop in my area. For the front porch, kept it really simple. I added a fresh garland over the door. I added fresh greenery and pine cones and wood to all of the crocks that were there. And that was pretty much the extent of it. I don't think we're gonna add anything else, any lights. We're just gonna keep it at that. Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonmoon.com, and today I want to decorate our farmhouse for Christmas and take you along with me. If you watched my cottage decorating video, you might know that I went with a blue and green Christmas in there, but I decided to go for a more traditional colored Christmas, the reds, the greens in our main farmhouse. I did also incorporate some blue just to tie in all of my blue decor that I already have because I didn't really want to get rid of that for the season. Just like last year, I added garlands to the staircase. I did decide to drape them this time as opposed to putting them on top, and I like the look a whole lot better. I went with faux garlands this year because they make some that look really real, and of course they last year after year. So I actually had bought some last year and then I added a few more because I needed a few more to get all the way up the steps with the draping effect that I was going for this year. In the living room, I did some faux garland over our mantel. I used these stocking clips this year. They are amazing. They fit snug to the mantel and it makes it to where the kids can't pull on them near as easily as the usual little stocking holders that seem to fall off often. I brought out some stockings that my mom got for the kids several years ago. She used to always buy each kid as they were born a personalized stocking, and then I started doing blue and white Christmas, and so I didn't use them much, but this year we're going all in on the red. So I also found a couple of coordinating stockings because I didn't yet have some for Micah and Daniel. I'm sure if mom is watching this, she will order me some. I found a winter scene for the frame TV to put winter art above the mantel. I also added a few candles, and then the frame ornaments I put on the tree last year, I decided just to put them on the mantel. For the tree, I didn't do a whole lot new this year. I just pulled out some handmade ornaments from years previous, as well as lots of bells. I did find some clip-on candle lights that I thought would be really cute. And then I also found some red ornaments just to add a little bit of touch of red to the tree, and then I added in some faux berries as well. For the berries, I just found a berry garland and I cut the berries off because it was a lot cheaper than buying a bunch of berry stems at the store I was at. So that is the route that I took, and it ended up giving me lots of berries for my tree. Several times while decorating, I did change my mind and how I wanted things to go. So if you see me switching things up, you know. I also decided to add some ribbon last minute to the tree. I found that clothespins are really helpful for putting ribbon on a tree. I tuck it to the back and then secure it with a clothespin. And then also, if they kind of peek out, it's another really cute Christmas decoration for the farmhouse style, in my opinion. My favorite Christmas find this year was for sure the 16 Homer Laughlin plates that I found for $28. I actually found them about a week ago, so it was perfect timing. I was at one of my favorite antique shops, and normally this place is pretty expensive. I go there because I know I'll find something because they have so much, but it's one of those antique shops that's right off the highway, pretty pricey. But they had this set sitting there, and I was thinking, there's no way this is really this price. But indeed, $28 for a 16-piece set. So I put several of the plates above the stove on the open shelving in my kitchen. And then I also put several in the dining room. I just stacked up my normal blue plates and put them and kept them in the cabinets, but just to where the red were more on display. In the dining room, I also brought in some red with some cute little red houses that I found as well. I went outside and clipped some fresh greenery and added that to my open shelving in the kitchen, as well as the hutch in the living room and the kitchen windowsill. I also threw in some faux eucalyptus to add a little bit of a different color and different texture as well. Also in the dining room, I found some adorable little greenery wreaths with red berries recently at a local shop in my town and added those with some ribbon. I never took down the 3M hooks from last year that I used to hang the wreaths, so those are still there, so I just hung them up, super easy. I'm tempted to keep the doors open on the cabinet all winter long because I can see the beautiful plates so much better whenever the doors are open and it's not hidden by the glass, so I'm gonna leave them. I will leave as many sources as I can find for where I found things down in the description box below. Obviously, a lot of things are vintage and collected over time, but some things do have sources, so I will leave that there. In years past, I've gone out and collected fresh greenery and laid it all across the kitchen windowsill. Though beautiful, I am definitely craving a little bit of a more minimal feel this year. Just a couple of stems, pine cones, and a couple branches of eucalyptus with my normal pitchers. I'm thinking that I don't want to completely overhaul everything. And then, of course, adding some red touches to my shelves like I do every year, but again, less. Normally, I put several red plates on, greenery and red, and this year I'm just going to add in a few touches here and there. I have a huge collection of wreaths. And so I'm testing out which ones I think will go up here this year. I've done both combinations of these in the past, and this year I'm gonna go for a little bit more red for my kitchen space and reserve the other ones for the dining room. All right, the girls made some hot chocolate. I just added some touches to our bedroom. I'm keeping it pretty simple this year. In years past, I've done a lot of fresh greenery and I end up having to sweep it up all season long. And so I'm keeping things pretty simple, but still bringing in a lot of festive touches that we all are going to enjoy all Christmas. Bringing out my very realistic faux greenery garland for the steps that I got last year. To put them on, I know there are great products, but I never prepare ahead enough to have those whenever I'm doing my Christmas decorating. And so I just use my jute twine, tie it on, and then cover it up with some bows or ribbon. I just like to use what I have. This year, I gave the task of the Christmas tree to my girls. I just let them have at it. I said, put on whatever ribbons, whatever ornaments you want. I was really just feeling kind of, I don't want to say over it because I was excited to add some Christmas touches, but I definitely didn't have the same over the top creative drive that I have a lot of times. And so I'm kind of just relying on a lot of pieces from years past and less of it. I packed probably half of my decor back away. I even packed up some for the thrift shop and for my sister. I'm gonna bring to her tonight to see if she wants some of it. But I don't know, I was just feeling like, okay, I want it to feel Christmassy in here, but I don't want to go as much out as I do usually. This entry space is a new addition to the farmhouse. If you saw in my, I think it was my last video or one of my recent videos, I made the pleated lampshades, brought in the little furniture piece from the living room. And so I added red books and some red dishes and some greenery to the top of the mirror just to make it a little bit more festive. Now the thing on the top of the mirror is just 2 pieces of greenery that I tied together with jute twine. I also am swapping out the wreath, adding a few Merry Christmas touches throughout the house. Of course, putting greenery on the mantle. I'm just fixing it on there with my stocking clips. had this sourdough sugar cookie dough sitting in the refrigerator, long fermenting for 3 days. I have been working on the recipe for a while, just in time for Christmas baking. You can find the full recipe over on farmhouseonboone.com. My favorite reason to put up Christmas decor is the twinkly lights and cozy lights all throughout the house. I like the flicker of an LED candle or a real candle, lamps turned on, Christmas lights, the fire burning. That is what gets me through these long nights, early evenings. During most times of the year, I like my house better during the day when the daylight floods it, but during Christmas time, I actually prefer it at night, which is really the number one reason to decorate for Christmas. I want to experiment with making all handmade gifts. Now, I won't just do handmade gifts, but I like the idea of bringing this in addition or even as somebody's only gift. Consumables are nice for a lot of reasons. One is it's a lovely gift to get when someone spends their time making something from scratch, something that you just can't get anywhere. It's a thoughtful gift, but then also it doesn't clutter up somebody's house. So if you know somebody who already has everything they want, a lot of people over a certain age, maybe some personality types, when they want something, they just buy it. So it's really hard to find something they want for Christmas. But these kind of gifts, they're thoughtful. They can be very beautiful when packaged right. And so I have a few ideas to bring you this Christmas season for some of these beautiful handmade gifts. At this point in history, sourdough is just about at scale. So just about everybody on your list has probably heard of sourdough and probably wants to try it if they haven't already. So this one will be well received, very delicious, and also has a very nice presentation. To bring this together, I mixed up my sourdough cinnamon roll dough last night. You can find that over on the blog, farmhouseonboone.com. It's just search sourdough cinnamon rolls. So I just did the dough part. I did not add the baking soda and baking powder. You might ask why? Well, that's because I forgot. I completely forgot. It wasn't until after I was actually rolling it up that I remembered I forgot it. But it's okay. Whenever you add baking soda and baking powder to something sourdough, it makes it rise really fast, those additional leavening agents, so you don't have to give it a second rise. But if you don't use them, you can just use the active yeast that's in the sourdough, put it in a warm place, and let it rise again. For the cranberry filling, I did fresh cranberries, little lemon juice, a little orange zest, sugar, apple cider, and some butter. This is a lot like the cranberry sauce I make. I do have a recipe over on the blog, but it isn't exactly like that. Very similar, but with sugar instead of honey. The reason for that is I wanted it to be very thick, not runny at all. I knew that the runnier it was, the harder it would be to roll up and make into a wreath. Honestly, it was still a little bit tricky, but I did accomplish the purpose of making it a bit thicker with the sugar. I also, after warming it up and making the cranberries pop and turn into a jelly, I put it in the fridge so that it would go onto the cinnamon roll dough cold. That made it also easier to work with. If you haven't worked with cranberries, if you add a sweetener, a little bit of juice, and cook it on the stove, let it simmer for 20-30 minutes, they will pop and turn into a bit of a jelly. And that is what you're going for here. Orange and apple are always lovely additions to the flavor. And then put it in the fridge, let it be cool, add it to the spread out dough, and then roll it up, cut it down the middle, and twist it, and then form that into a wreath. You can do this exact shape with so many different flavors. I have done it with chocolate. I've done it with the classic cinnamon roll. Any fruit filling, you spread it on, roll it up, cut it, twist it. You can leave it as a long twist, like a pastry braid type of situation. I mean, really, that's done with pastry dough. But still, it's very beautiful. It'd be a good breakfast, or you can shape it into a wreath. I'm letting mine sit on the stove to rise while the girls work on a hot cocoa bar. A lot of families have this tradition during the colder months to bring out a hot cocoa bar. Now, it'd be really fun to leave it out all the time, but I mentioned the 6 boys earlier, lots of children, lots of small children. When they see things like this out, it's really hard for them to accept that they should eat anything but that. So it'll have to get put away. But I thought it would just be such a fun, cozy evening to put this together and then serve everyone hot cocoa. We really love doing charcuterie boards here in our home. So this felt kind of in that same realm of creativity and tradition. I was able to source healthy ingredients for this hot cocoa bar. The cocoa mix came from Farmhouse teas. Everything in it is 100% organic and very quality. They also have marshmallows that are made with grass-fed beef gelatin, so they're paleo, dairy-free, grain-free. And then I found that Jovial makes organic einkorn cookies, Johanna whipped from scratch whipped cream. Of course, the candy canes are just candy canes. And then we put cinnamon and salt in some shakers. So mostly very high quality, healthy ingredients. What I did find, I will leave links for all of these ingredients in the description box below if you want to make a healthy hot cocoa bar for a fun Christmas family tradition. I baked the cranberry roll, but we're gonna work on icing it tomorrow and packaging it up to make it beautiful tomorrow because I've run out of light. So now it's time to go around my house and bring out the cozy lighting. This is something I do every night, especially now that the Christmas tree is up. I have that cozy glow. I light all the lamps. I kind of get sad that the sun goes down so early, but I have to admit I really enjoy the way it looks to see a fire glowing through the glass. There is just something so restful about it. Yesterday, I made up an orange icing with 2 cups of powdered sugar, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, and then enough orange juice to make it spreadable. I put it in a Ziploc bag with the corner cut off and then put it in the fridge overnight because I ran out of light. Today, I am drying oranges in the oven. I do that at the lowest my oven will go, which isn't very clearly marked, but I think somewhere around 275. That's a little high, but my oven won't go much lower. After icing it, I'm gonna use some dried oranges and cranberries to create a pretty gift. Thanksgiving with your family and that you enjoy this beautiful Christmas season that's coming up. Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonboone.com, and today I'm excited to share with you my Christmas tree for this year. For this year, I decided to go with a white and blue kind of country farmhouse Christmas tree theme. The reason I did that is I didn't want to swap out the decor that I already have in the house. So I have a lot of blue plates hanging up from my Flow Blue collection. I have a blue and white vintage quilt that sits in my living room, and I've really just started to decorate this new farmhouse. I kind of wanted to, since we're not fully established, just go with that color theme versus coming in with a whole bunch of new red and white stuff. For this tree, I chose from Michael's 3 different kinds of ribbon. I did a plaid that I found. It has a couple of tans and black, and I really liked the way that it kind of brought the country farmhouse theme that I'm going for. I also found a navy blue velvet ribbon, which I thought was just so pretty. I also found a tan, it's not burlap, but it kind of has the color of burlap ribbon, and I went into the tree and wove all 3 of them just kind of in and out. Now the way that I like to add ribbon to a Christmas tree is just going diagonal across the tree back and forth instead of going all the way around, just because it's a little bit difficult and it kind of wastes ribbon on an area where you're not really gonna see it. I make sure between each loop to go into the tree all the way, and I wrap a branch around the ribbon. Now that just helps it to stay nice and secure, so that when my kids come over here and get excited about the tree, they're not gonna right away rip the ribbon out of it. I also grabbed some bell garland. Now I just love Christmas bells. I think they sound really cheery on a tree. I also think they're really pretty. I liked the brass goldish color of these. I grabbed 3 of those garlands from Michael's, and I just wrapped them around after I did the ribbon. After that, I filled in with some larger ornaments. I bought several different colors. I brought a navy blue ornament, and I just used a large one to kind of fill in any spaces in my tree that looked a little bit sparse. And then I added in some white large ornaments as well. And then a few sparkly gold ornaments just to kind of give that Christmas whimsy. Then I took some flocked Christmas branches that I found in the Christmas floral section at Michael's. They look like they have snow on them, and they have pine cones, and I really love that natural element and then the white. So I took about 4 of those larger Christmas florals and I cut them down and just added sprigs throughout the tree to give it a little bit of that snow and natural pine cone look throughout the tree. I also brought in some snowflake ornaments. I found these in the wood and craft section. Actually, my girls were wanting to paint some ornaments, so we were over in that section, and I found these almost chalk paint looking snowflakes that I thought would look perfect with my tree. So I added about 5 of those in, and then I did a few DIY ornaments. So as I was walking around Michael's, I saw a few things that I thought would look really cute. So first of all, I found some picture frames, and I printed off some photos that I actually took last January when we first moved into this house, and it snowed all over this property. Well before we had anything fixed up, I snapped some photos of the property, the barn, and the little cottage in the snow, and I thought those would be really pretty to put into those frames to kind of remember our first Christmas here. And I printed off some 4x4 inch pictures because that's the only size I could find, and I cut them down to the 3-inch size. And then just hot glued on a little bit of jute twine and added those to the tree. I did 3 of those, so I just kind of tried to space them out throughout the tree so that they're not all in one area. It adds a nice geometric shape and color, and then also a nice memory to this tree. Another DIY ornament I did, I found some 3-inch embroidery hoops at Michael's, and I had some scrap grain sack fabric laying around. I just took some colors that coordinated with my tree and added them to the embroidery hoops and just hot glued on the back some string and hung those on as well. I just did 3 of those, but I really thought they added a nice country theme and also, you know, a handmade element to my tree. I also added in some more pine cones that I found at Michael's just to bring in some more of that natural feel and add a nice wood color. For any of the ornaments that I felt like weren't super secure, I just took and wrapped the branches of the tree around the hanger, and that just gives an added level of security. It also helps for you to kind of be able to arrange things. So with the bells, sometimes I wanted the bell to come a little bit higher so it would go above an ornament. I just took a branch above and wrapped it around the jute twine that it came on, and that helps to make the bells sit where I want them to. So if you followed along, you know that we just moved into an 1890s farmhouse in January. So this is our first Christmas here in our new home. And what that means is we are not actually ready to decorate for Christmas because our kitchen is under construction. We don't have cabinets, we don't have a sink, but I still wanted to bring some holiday cheer into this home. My kids look forward to decorating for Christmas every year, and so I didn't want to not do it just because of the circumstances of our home not being finished. So I decided instead to just decorate the rooms that are ready. So my first tip is to add cozy fabrics and textures like flannel, wool, grain sack, velvet, and clay. I brought it into my home with pillows and blankets. I have a handmade flannel blanket that is actually going to be in my upcoming book that comes out on February 1st. And it's sitting on the back of our wingback chair just to make it more cozy for the season. I also have a sweater pillow that I made from an old sweater and shared on here recently, and then a couple more knit pillows and blankets just to make it warm and cozy. Now I also did bring in the clay element. A friend made these clay trees. I absolutely love them. She does sell online. I'm gonna leave links in the description below for all the sources. She actually teaches my kids pottery, and we've watched this whole process from making the trees with the clay to firing it in her kiln and glazing it. It's so fun. Tip number 2 is to bring in something handmade for a meaningful and personal touch. So one example of that in our home this year is last year when we first moved into this house, which was actually earlier this year. It was winter time and we had a huge snow, and I took pictures of our barn and silo and the little cottage on our property all covered in snow. And so I put those in some little frames and made ornaments to bring kind of a personal touch. You could also, of course, add some handmade ornaments with your kids at Christmas time or just something meaningful. I like to make a lot of my own ornaments. I have a few tutorials on here of those, but I think it just brings such a personal touch and it makes your home unique and one of a kind. My third tip is probably my favorite one and kind of one that I rely on year after year, and that is to bring in a lot of greenery and natural elements. One reason that's great is, of course, it's cheap. So I just went out to a tree on our property and cut a whole bunch of branches to add to the tops of armoires and hutches and to make garlands. You could also make a wreath. On this channel I have a tutorial for a DIY greenery wreath. Of course you can use all of the popular ones like cypress, pine, fir, and spruce. But also I love to do eucalyptus, and then herbs like rosemary are also beautiful for the Christmas season. I also love that even if you change your theme up, so let's say one year you're doing a red Christmas or a blue Christmas, or even I've seen some beautiful pink Christmases, greenery is neutral enough to go with any of them, and so you could change your theme, but you're not gonna go wrong with greenery. Whether it's fresh or faux, greenery is a beautiful addition to your Christmas home. All right, number 4 is to add a separate tree for the kids. So I always love to have my pretty tree that's themed and that looks so nice in our family room. Even in the last house, I really enjoyed doing that. But of course, kids like to put all of their fun little ornaments and of course all their handmade ones too. This year, I decided to bring another tree upstairs into the kids' bedroom and just let them have at it. So they put all of their own lights, and a lot of the ornaments that I received as a child, I had I was in several of those Hallmark ornament collections, and they also got some from the local craft store that they painted, and it's just all kinds of fun for kids to have something that they have complete freedom over decorating. Now, if you're not a blogger, you might just do that on your main level, but for me, I think it's a really fun way to make the holidays meaningful for the kids, but yet still be able to photograph this room, which I need to for the blog. And then it's nice to enjoy kind of a pretty tree that mom gets to decorate. All right, the fifth tip is stockings everywhere. I used to think stockings were just for mantles for kids to open up Christmas morning, but I actually started collecting quite a few stockings over the years. My mom got the kids a collection of beautiful red personalized stockings, and then I have a bunch of different color stockings that were from my online shop that I used to run. I also made some last year that were made from sweaters, so I have quite a collection of stockings. And so this year I started hanging them in a few other places, like on knobs of a pie safe, on hutches. They're also really pretty on the end of a bed, on the front porch. They're pretty just about everywhere. If you have any really small stockings for any reason, or you make some really small stockings, I've seen those be really pretty as ornaments on a tree. They're just festive to put all over the place. All right, number 6. So fire, as we all know, is cozy and warm for the holidays, but if you don't have a fireplace, which we do not, we hope to eventually get a wood stove, but at the moment we don't, you can also just add in that cozy touch of fire by bringing in some candles. So I have some handmade dipped candles. That's another tutorial that's in my book. I just wrap them with a strip of paper bag and twine. I actually got the idea whenever I was at Target. I saw that they had some sitting out like that, and I thought, oh, I have beeswax candles at home that I could wrap like that and set out on a table or a hutch just to look really pretty and festive and bring in that warmth that candles add. I also brought in some candles on some brass taper candle stands that I got from an antique shop. And then I added some pieces of firewood to a wooden crate near the entryway just to also kind of give that cozy feeling of fire. My 7th tip is to keep it small and simple. So no matter what stage of life you're in, what your living situation is, like I mentioned to you, our house isn't done, and so this place doesn't really feel like a place that's ready to decorate, but you still can bring cozy touches, even if it's just to one room with a little bit of greenery and some candles, and just have that special ambiance that is so wonderful during the Christmas season. The 8th tip, like I said, I have 10, this is getting long, is to wrap gifts early. So if you have the opportunity to go Christmas shopping early, I suggest wrapping the presents and then putting them around your house. Even if it's not underneath the tree, I like to add a little package just as part of the decor on top of a hutch or a pie safe or anywhere where you need a little something extra and you don't have any trinkets laying around. That makes a really pretty little addition to the decor. Just don't forget to get it out on Christmas morning. I put one on top of our pie safe and just added a little ribbon and a bell, and then now it's a nice little center focal piece. My 9th tip is lights everywhere. I love the twinkling lights of Christmas time. It gets dark super early, obviously everywhere now that daylight savings time has ended. It gets dark before 5 o'clock, and one thing that is a consolation for that is that it's Christmas time and we can light up all the lights and the house just looks so cozy. So anywhere you can add some nice Christmas lights, do so. Number 10 is to turn on Christmas music and make it a family affair. We blasted some Christmas music all day long and we really just enjoyed decorating. My kids went out and helped to collect some greenery from outside. They decorated their own tree, and it's something that I know they'll remember forever. Me personally, when I was a kid, my mom had boxes of Christmas decor, and she had all these certain things that went in spots on, you know, the mantle and in the hutch, and we would swap out all of her normal decor and put up the Christmas decor and decorate the tree, and it was just the most fun thing. I have to tell you a story about the particular day that I am first putting up this tree and wrapping it with lights. It was actually my birthday, which also a lot of years happens to be the opening day of deer season where I live, which is a big deal for most of the men in my life. We also had a Friendsgiving planned for the evening around, I think, 3 or 4. I was in charge of the turkey and a few other things. I think the stuffing. So Luke woke up around 4 in the morning to meet up with my dad, who lives an hour away, and hunt with him in a stand all day. I was home with the kids, And then my sister texted me and asked if a couple of my kids, my oldest two, the ones who are the most help, wanted to go out to lunch, which was totally fine. But by this point, I had already asked them to bring all of the Christmas bins up from the basement, and I had it in my head that I was going to decorate for Christmas. Well, soon I was home with 6 boys, a whole bunch of Christmas decor, and a lot of work I still needed to do for hosting my friends later that day. And Luke would be home by that point. But at this point, that's where I was, home with 6 boys and a bunch of Christmas decor, a toddler who wanted to throw ornaments everywhere. So needless to say, I was not able to finish all of my Christmas decorating. I finally gave up, brought the bins back down to the basement after wrapping the tree halfway with lights and getting the mantel decorated. That was the extent of what was going to happen on this particular day. I did learn something new with trees, which makes this a lot more difficult, which is why I only got it about halfway done on the first day of decorating. I noticed that in a lot of homes, the tree really glows from all the rooms. It has a lot of lights. It looks very beautiful. And mine never had that same feel. Now, this could be avoided by getting a pre-lit tree, but I have had this tree, which is perfectly fine, so I don't really want to replace it with a new pre-lit tree. But I realized after doing a little bit of Googling that you're supposed to actually wrap each individual branch, and that's what makes the lights go all the way through the tree. So before, I was just taking a couple strands of lights and then wrapping it around the tree just from top to bottom really quickly. Turns out if you wrap each individual branch, it gives it that special glow. Now this meant that I had to go back for more lights because up to now I just had a couple of strands of lights and I needed a lot more to really give the tree that twinkling glow that I enjoyed all through January. I'm really hoping that we can get it back in the basement without taking any of the lights off and taking the whole tree apart, because it took quite a while to actually get that many lights on it. But we are really enjoying the way that it feels whenever it gets dark at 5 o'clock. Having this bright, beautiful tree has been really nice because it's sort of in the center of our main living area where we do life every single day. In order to fit the tree, I had to move the chair that we usually keep there, and I actually really love it. So I don't think it's going to go back. It's one of those places in the home where it feels like it would interrupt the traffic flow, but then when you get something there, you realize it's actually just cozy and the better spot for it. This happens to me a lot whenever I move something around. I, at first, usually don't like it, but then after a while it grows on me and I want to leave it there. So I think this is the perfect spot for that chair. I don't really know what's going to go there after the tree is gone. We always miss it. It always feels so blank and bare whenever Christmas is over. Now for the banister, I have been doing the same thing for years. I take a faux garland and drape it going up the stairs. Normally, I will just do some red and white ribbon that I've saved for many years. This year, I decided to add some bows. Now, in years past, I actually tie the bows just like you would tie any ordinary bow. But as you can imagine, when there's a lot of little hands going up and down the steps, the bows get pulled out. So I decided instead to make them a bit more secure by making them in 2 parts. So I tied the long piece of ribbon on around the garland, and then I created a bow separate to tie it on and make it more secure. So you can't just pull one of the strings and make the bow come out. I use a ton of command hooks and jute twine whenever I do Christmas decorating. Pretty much everything can be fixed onto something in some way with those 2 tools. Last year we skipped outside lighting and my kids really missed it. It's not that hard to put up, but whenever the weeks pass and it's suddenly just a few days before Christmas, it no longer really feels worth it. So we decided to do it a bit earlier this year and just get those lights up so we can enjoy them. We probably won't take them down and we'll keep lighting them all the way through January. I love looking out the kitchen window whenever we're sitting at the table having dinner or playing games after dinner when there's several hours between it getting dark and bedtime. This just helps to brighten everybody's spirits. It's not fancy. We are using some vintage bulbs that were passed down to us from a neighbor whenever they were moving. They didn't want to pack all of their Christmas lights. So they gave us a huge tote of them. They have the real glass bulbs, which are cool. They're also breakable, so it's kind of tricky to put up with kids, but they're bright and fun and everybody enjoys them. There was also a lot of replacement bulbs, so we had to do a lot of replacing from last year or the year before when we did them. I guess some broke, some burnt out, but now they're looking good and we're really enjoying it. I'm going to show you a handmade Christmas gift idea that I plan to use this year because who doesn't enjoy something edible? It's something that you don't have to worry about it cluttering your home, or if somebody already has everything, they will be really happy to receive this delicious sourdough baked good. So what I did was last night before braiding this, I mixed up a batch of my sourdough brioche dough. This is an enriched dough, so that means it has eggs and butter. The recipe is over on farmhouseonboone.com. Just search brioche. I let that rise all night long. As you could see, whenever I punched it down, it was super airy. I actually did not have a fresh fed starter. I just pulled it right out of the fridge, but since it rose so long overnight, it was still super bubbly by the morning. In the morning, I divided it in 3 parts and then made super long ropes out of the dough, braided it, shaped it into a wreath, and then baked it as per the normal brioche instructions that are over on the blog. After baking, I'm just covering it with tons of butter. I was dreaming about ideas for Christmas gifts. I'm going to be sharing an edible wreath that is sweet in a video later this week, but this is a savory version. And I liked the idea of having something savory and something sweet to mix it up. So for this one, I'm doing a garlic, butter, everything bagel seasoning with a garlic sage infused herb butter. You can really present these beautifully. You could get special boxes that have plastic on the top so you can see inside, and put a little flip top glass bottle and a cheese spreader to serve it as an entire gift. So I'll be showing you that a bit more later, but this was so delicious. I love taking tried and true recipes that I've made a bunch of times and then mixing them up in a different way. The wreath ended up being pretty large, so you could divide it in 2 parts, then divide each of those into 3 and make a much smaller wreath. I didn't really anticipate just how big it would get. So for a more giftable size, maybe make 2 smaller braided wreaths. And then you could even do a couple of different flavors of herb butters instead of just one. Maybe you could fit more in the box if you have a smaller wreath and make it a more exciting gift with some different samplers of butters. I know I would be super pleased to receive this from someone. I have, for whatever reason, been putting off finishing up the Christmas decor after my debacle the day where I tried to decorate whenever there really was no time or space to do so. But I'm ready to finish things up, and even still, I left quite a bit in the bins. So I have a lot of garlands and greenery that I'm not going to get rid of because I really enjoy them on years where maybe I'm feeling a bit more inspired. But this year I'm going to leave a lot of it in, but bring in some of the red and green elements throughout the house just to make it feel like Christmas. My kids get so excited to walk into the kitchen after I have done some of this. I let my kids put their hands in a ton of things this year as well. I let them completely finish out the Christmas tree and put the ornaments on however they want. I am just not feeling particularly, I don't want to say inspired this year, but I really have a desire to keep this season a bit more simple. Some years I want to put together this beautiful Christmas home where I've thought about it and planned about it and ordered ribbon months in advance. This year I'm just kind of pulling out what I've stored away from last year and decorating in just about the exact same way that I did in years past. I'm doing a few different things, but I'm not reinventing the wheel, and that feels okay. Sometimes I feel very creative and excited to completely transform our home in some new, fresh way. And sometimes I just want to make it look like Christmas, but not spend a whole lot of mental effort on it. And that's where I am this year. Normally, I will put something on the flat surfaces of the hutch and not just hanging the wreaths from the doors. I might still do that, but for now, this feels like enough. And I think I'm really looking forward to putting just a bunch of Christmas decor back down into the basement. I'm also more aware this year, for whatever reason. Maybe it's a stressful season, I don't know. But I'm more aware of what all I have to take down whenever it is the end of January. Usually I feel like I just start decorating with reckless abandon and don't worry about future me, January me. But this year I'm a little bit more worried about January me, who has to take all this down and organize it. So I'm just gonna add some Christmas touches throughout our home. I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of ribbon on the Christmas tree so that the toddler can pull it and undo it. I'm not going to put a lot of things at kid level, just enough to enjoy it, but not be overwhelmed by it. My trick for wreaths on hutch doors is 3M command hooks upside down. That way the hooks face downward so you can loop the string or the ribbon underneath of it. This time I'm using a combination of ribbon and jute twine. The jute twine I'm tying to the top of the very thick ribbon, and then that way only the jute twine has to rest on the hooks and not the large ribbon. I just get this stuff up however I can. Now this front door wreath I think is so pretty. A friend of mine, actually my youngest sister's best friend, hosted a wreath making party, which if you have a little bit of time in your schedule this Christmas season, I loved the idea of this party. So what she did was asked everybody to bring their own wreath base or form. And then she had all kinds of dried florals and ribbon and cinnamon sticks and dried orange slices and pine cones and all kinds of beautiful wreath making accessories. And everyone came over. They Venmo'd her $15 so that way you could pay her back for all of the various things that she bought. People brought snacks. She had some baked goods. And everybody made wreaths, and everybody came up with such different designs and so many great ideas. It was so fun going around and seeing what different things people came up with. Of course, some people just nailed it. Like I saw their wreaths and thought, wow, that was a really good idea. We all had fun though, and we all came home with something to put on our front doors. My daughters both made them, so they have them in various places throughout the house. This style of party wasn't one I'd heard of before, but I would highly recommend doing one, and I would love to make it a tradition for our family as well. I asked one of my sons to go out and clip me some greenery. A lot of years I will take that tree's greenery, lay it on the hutch, lay it on my windowsill in the kitchen. This year, again, I'm trying to be very minimal with the amount of effort that has to go into this. So I'm just packing it into the outside window box because everything has been killed by the frost. I don't really want to plant anything new. This was a 5-minute job to make this look cute all throughout the winter season, and it won't require any cleanup because it'll just go straight down into the beds. So I don't have to worry about sweeping anything up. I added in a few ornaments just to give it some color, but I don't know why I never thought of decorating that box before. It always just looks so dead and ugly all the way until next spring. So this just makes sense, and it took next to no time, especially if you have a child who can go out and clip it for you. I didn't buy all new pillow covers for the porch. I just washed up the ones that we use throughout the entire year. I'm also going to put a bit more of that greenery in an enamel pitcher, put a few more red ornaments out there for color, reusing things, and just doing what I can with what I have. Again, that's the whole motto of this year. It feels more just like a homey, simple Christmas time. That's what I'm going for. I originally put this red and white rug as a bit of color with my tree skirt, but I decided to bring it outside to give a little bit more color to the porch. I have another wreath that I'm going to put on this other door. That's a new tradition of mine. I just started doing it in the fall. I don't know why I don't always have a wreath on this door. It's probably because I normally only have 1 or 2 wreaths, and we do have 4 exterior doors. But we're really adding to the wreath collection, especially with the wreath making party. And I always end up finding something throughout the season to add to my collection. So we are growing to be able to have wreaths on every door, and I think it looks so inviting. I'm gonna do the same greenery and ornaments just very quickly here to the Cottage window box, and then head inside to wrap up a few of the first presents. Now I'm going to head out to the garden to get a bit of sage for my sage garlic butter for my braided brioche wreath, which is also an excellent gifting idea. I would say these kind of gifts are best for the different Christmas events that you might have outside of actual Christmas Day. I know for our family, because we have two sides, we have Luke's side and my side, and then we also have my mom's side and my dad's side. We host some things on different days. There's 3 different days that we celebrate. Actually, no, make that 4 different days that we celebrate Christmas. I like that it's spread out because I would not want to be baking braided brioche wreaths on Christmas morning for everybody on my list, but it can work out quite nicely whenever events are spread out. Also make really great hostess gifts. So I'm melting 1 stick of butter, adding in some sage and some garlic. As it begins to harden at room temperature, I like to keep stirring it so that the butter and the sage will stay in all the parts of the butter and not just sink to the bottom. I tied it with a little ribbon, put that in the middle, and then also added a little cheese spreader to it. I love the idea of not making this wreath quite as big and creating more space in the middle, so you could do sampler sizes of different flavors of herb butters. Maybe there could be 3 in there with 3 different cheese spreaders with the wreath around it. This was my first time trying this, so I thought of a few ways that I could keep experimenting with. Of course, our family really enjoyed just eating this today with some soup. I am making a dried orange garland. I dried out some oranges at around 200 degrees in the oven. They've been just sitting on my dresser for a week or 2. Finally, I'm hot gluing them to some jute twine. And in my video next week, I'm gonna share our Christmas home tour in its entirety. I will hang up the orange garland. I have a few other things I want to do to put some finishing touches and just enjoy the rest of this Christmas season. Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonboone.com, and today I'm going to take you around the cottage and decorate it for Christmas. I never did decorate the cottage for fall because we actually were doing a ton of renovations. I gave an update on the exterior. Actually, no, I also gave an interior update a few videos back where I talked about all the things that we've been doing with this cottage. We got new flooring, plumbing all redone, lots of patching and trim work and so many things, because this cottage, though it looked pretty before, actually needed a lot of work. And now it just feels so light and bright and cozy. We lightened everything up. We painted things white that weren't white before. I had originally painted them a darker color, and it was just so dark in here, and now it feels bright. And so I decided to, before having the baby, which when this comes out, I will certainly have the baby, get this place decorated for Christmas, make it a little cozy cottage. I also picked up window candles. Now I was really excited about these because they have a timer, so they will sit in all of the windows and then pop on whenever it is dark, and then it'll light up our little cottage, and the little candles in the windows will be just adorable. I also picked up a lantern. Now after getting the lantern, I decided that I wanted to go with the blue theme in here versus the red. I'm gonna do the red in the farmhouse like I did last year. And so I cut off the cranberries and added a blue ribbon so that it ties in better with my decor. You might notice right now that the stone fireplace looks a little bit off. What happened was we re-grouted everything so that it will actually draw and we can put a fire in it, but the stuff just hasn't completely dried yet. And so it's really dark, but it won't be, and we'll probably even polish off the rocks to expose even more of the rocks. But it wasn't actually functional, and now it should be. So that's really exciting. We also did not yet have a mantle, and we put up a 2x12 board to cover the top of the stone fireplace, and then Luke just painted it white, but we're gonna have to do some trim work. So that is totally not done, but a lot of parts of this cottage aren't completely done, but definitely done enough to enjoy it. I ended up having the baby about 5 hours after shooting this video, and so I'm coming back a couple weeks later to finish up decorating the mantel. For the mantel, I hung some grain sack stockings, which tie into the handmade grain sack ornaments on the tree, and some of the ceramic trees that a friend of mine actually made for me. We hung the watercolor painting that my friend Sarah Jo painted of our home. Now, it should probably be something Christmassy up there, but that is what I have for now, and I also absolutely love it. Eventually it will go over where the tree is, and that's where a table will go, but for now this was a really good spot for the tree for the rest of winter. I also, you might notice, I brought in some comfy, cozy chairs. These are just some slip-covered chairs so that this room can be cozy. That was the biggest goal.
But these are right here.
Where you put those? I was gonna put them, Mommy was gonna put them in the windowsill, but then I realized this doesn't have a windowsill except on the outside. So I changed my
Mom, wait,
plan.
Mommy.
Let's see, which way does this blanket go?
Wait, Mom, look.
Oh, on there?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Look, Mommy.
that's kind of pretty.
It fits.
Let's see here. How's this?
Now it's ready.
Just don't let them fall, okay?
Good.
Pretty good?
Look, Mom.
That's pretty good, Micah.
This so ready.
I really want some nightstands. I just don't have them yet.
Yeah, no.
For the bed upstairs, I brought in so many layers. I brought in a sheet that I stitched some ticking stripe to the top. That way I could fold it back and have ticking stripe exposed. I did a down comforter. I did a quilt. It's just really layered and cozy because this is gonna be a place where kids hang out whenever we need an extra spot, maybe during nap or school, but also it'll be a guest cottage. I brought in some greenery to go up the stair railing with some black ribbon. I just draped it. And then I also, you might have noticed, we finally got in the railing upstairs. So before, the railing in this cottage was really dangerous. It just, like, kids could fall right through it. And so I found at an antique shop a railing that came out of an old Victorian house, and we just put it up in that area instead. And so I think I love the wood color. I really love the wood color, and that's always been my plan. However, where the wood, there's some spots that were missing, and so we had to patch it in, and I don't know how easy it's going to be to match that. So it might eventually get painted, but it is a beautiful piece and it fits just perfectly. And best of all, makes it to where if there's a baby gate at the top, that top bedroom would actually be safe. Nobody would fall off. So that is actually really great. Because again, I don't know exactly what always we'll use this for, but if anybody wants to stay here as a guest, if they have a little child, that would have been really bad. It snowed on the tree?
Yes.
What? It snowed on the tree?
Yeah.
How did that happen, Micah?
It snowed every time.
Every time? For the tree, I brought in a lot of my handmade ornaments that I have made over the years. Lots of bells also. I love bells. Some of the ones I made are the hoops, where I just put in some sweater fabric or grain sack. These really long gold glass ornaments from Zulily that I think really fit in nicely with the bells and the neutral tones. I tried a flocked tree this year, which I have not done before. I missed that one?
Yes, you missed it, but I bet this one.
So you're gonna put that one on? Oh, is that a pretty spot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So cotton.
I think I need another bell on here.
Yes, no.
We need lots of bells on here.
Yeah, watch. a bell. I put another bell on it and it come out.
I just used a cable knit tree skirt to hide the bottom, again going with the white, green, blue theme here in this Christmas cottage. Now for the upstairs bedroom, I didn't do a whole lot. As you can see, I just added a Merry Christmas pillow and some greenery to the railing. Other than that, it just keeps its cozy neutrals like usual. For the bathroom, again, I kept it how it is. The greatest thing about the bathroom is now that it actually all works. And so we'll be heating it at least enough to not have anything freeze, but all of the pipes and tub, it all works, which is wonderful. And we even refinished the tub. We also finally hung the mirror that I found at an antique shop for $7 just outside of the bathroom. So this is a place where if a guest stayed, they could check out their outfit because there's actually no mirror in the bathroom, so it's just outside of the bathroom. And then I just hung a little greenery wreath on it to bring in some Christmas cheer. Right, well, I hope that you enjoyed touring our cottage with all of its updates and with the Christmas decor that we brought in. Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonboone.com, and today I'm going to show you how I made this dried orange, pinecone, greenery, eucalyptus wreath. I started with a basic greenery wreath. I found one over at Joann's a few nights ago for $6, and I wanted to just start there with something basic and then add in natural elements. Of course, oranges are cheap. Eucalyptus is inexpensive, especially if you live close to a Trader Joe's. And then you can collect pine cones. So this wreath is a way to make something that's really beautiful for a low price, and then of course custom and then fun to create something like this. So I started by drying out oranges in my oven. I just sliced them up really thin and put them on a baking sheet and baked them for about 3 hours at 200 degrees. This just made them to where they were crispy and preserved. Next, I took eucalyptus. Now you can use fresh or dried. I have a lot of dried eucalyptus around my house. Some of it came from my sister's wedding. I've had some from years past that I've dried out. Eucalyptus lasts forever when it's dried out. So it's always a good thing to have around because I feel like it looks pretty through all the seasons. I just used some floral wire to tuck it in and wrap it around. Next, I added some pine cones. Now to do this, I wrapped some floral wire around the bottom of the pine cones and then put the wire under the wreath, wrapped it really tightly, and then they're super secure. Now some of the larger pine cones, I wrapped the wire around the top and bottom and put it to the back of the wreath. This just helped to keep them on really tight. Next, I put the oranges on in clusters. Now you can see that I have a lot of help here, who also had quite a few opinions about how we should do this.
Doing like a few clusters there, one cluster there, one cluster there.
Exactly.
I think half a cluster there, and then half a cluster on that side.
Okay.
Like one cluster here, one cluster here, one cluster here, one cluster there. 4 clusters. You made that cluster.
Finally, I used a little bit of grain sack ribbon around the top and just added it to our door. I love how it turned out. It was inexpensive, really easy to make. It will last year after year. Everything's nice and dry. And so I will put it in the basement and get it out again next year. And I think it turned out really pretty.
You got the hiccups.
Right, I got little Theo wrapped up for the first time today. I have some things on the agenda for this afternoon. I want to swap out things in my bedroom to get it more Christmas ready. So I did order a few things that haven't actually came yet, like a really full, real looking garland that I want to put on the mantle. So I'm going to see what I have and see if I can get it looking how I want it without actually waiting for that. Maybe then I could just use the garlands later on the steps. So I'm going to do what I can and just start easing into Christmas decor. All right, I am ready to go ahead and do some Christmas decorating here in our bedroom. I'm going to swap out the sheets, bring in some greenery, swap the art above the mantle, do some stockings, probably lots of things I don't even have plans for yet, but I'm just gonna play around with it. This quilt I leave on year round. It is a linen quilt from Brooklinen, and I love the layered look that it adds to the bed. It looks perfect all seasons of the year, but I especially like the added warmth in the winter. I added on these pillows that I made last year. They're a little wrinkly, but they'll come out of it. I could get my iron out, but I'm not gonna do that right now. All right, next I'm gonna swap out my pumpkin art. I have some different art that I found on Etsy for the Christmas season, so I'm gonna just put in this USB and swap it out. Okay, I sorted through what is fallish and what is still can go out for Christmas. The eucalyptus, the pine cones. I have a little basket in the barn that this goes in. I'm just gonna bring it right back out there. This I will cook and these I'll just throw in the compost. All right, here's the direction I'm going in this room. Just green and red. I really want to get those new greeneries that look real. I think I'll probably swap out the mantle, but for now I do have these garlands, just some basic knit stockings. I got some beeswax candles. I don't know yet what I'll do with this ribbon. I think I will hang a couple of wreaths here on this armoire. So let's see. I really wanted this to look more full than it looked last year. And so I just actually layered 2 of these together and it looks pretty good. So I probably won't swap this one out, but I do want a lot of garland for the staircase as well. I'm also going to just add in some of this eucalyptus just because I have it and I think it looks really pretty in here. I'll just tuck it in throughout. Well, that will be on Christmas morning, buddy. Nothing's in them yet, huh?
Mom, why are you not putting any presents now?
You want presents in there?
Yes. Wait, I want to turn this. Mom, why you take these bells off?
I didn't take those off. Those are just some random loose bells. I didn't remove any of the bells that you helped me put in the cottage. Okay? Is that what you were worried about?
Yeah.
I didn't.
This out the cottage.
I didn't take that out the cottage. I did not do that.
Well, Mom, why you take this out the cottage?
We just have a lot of decor. None of that came out of the cottage.
Oh. Mom, the 4-wheel.
You're missing a 4-wheeler ride. Somebody woke up. Theo. Theo. He was at his appointment, at his 1-week appointment, already above his birth weight, so that's good. That's the last time we weighed him. But I don't like being put down at all, which is normal for all babies, right? Nope. Pick me up. All right, I am going to be doing a Christmas morning French toast casserole breakfast that I'm gonna be shooting tomorrow for a video. And so I'm gonna get my sourdough French bread from my blog going. To do that, I'm just gonna combine a cup of starter, which I fed about 4 or 5 hours ago, so it's fed starter, 1 1/4 cup water, 2 teaspoons salt, 4 cups flour, a tablespoon honey, and 2 tablespoons olive oil. And I'm just gonna allow that to ferment overnight so that tomorrow I can make my French toast casserole, which is gonna be so good. Super excited for it. I'm just kneading until I get to where it passes the window pane test. So that's just where you can stretch it enough that you can see through it. I think we're about there. Now you can over knead too. I have this very nice elastic and smooth dough. I'm gonna add it to a greased bowl, just a little olive oil, and then tomorrow it'll be nice and fermented. I'm actually gonna do this twice, make this double, because sometimes with shooting recipes you run into an issue and it makes sense to be prepared to shoot it again. Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonboone.com, and today I am decorating our little cottage for Christmas. First, we did an exterior makeover on it. It was red and green, which seems like perfect Christmas colors, but not really my favorite, especially for the look I was going for in this cottage. I wanted more of a cottage vibe. And so we painted it blue. You can get that in a video down in the description box below. And then we moved to the interior. I last showed you this cottage and the plans we had for it in our update, which was in preparation for my sister's wedding. So all of that again down in the description box if you want the full story of the cottage and of the wedding we hosted in our barn. So by the time the wedding came, I hope to have this way more done than it was, but that's typically how things go. They take way more time and effort and always more money than I think that they're going to. So on the wedding morning, we actually had a plumber out here. Actually, I'm sorry, it was the day before the wedding. We had a plumber out here fixing, we were going to turn the bathroom all on so that people could go to the bathroom in here. We've never done that in here. And all of the pipes were busted. So we had a plumber come in and fix that. So now the toilet is operational, but we still don't have the bathroom fully how we want it. And as you know, if you watched my last video, we want to do guests in here. I want to make this an Airbnb for friends and family. But I didn't want that to stop me from decorating for Christmas because I really wanted to decorate for Christmas last year, but it just wasn't done enough to even do that at all last year. And so I decided that this year, no matter what, I was going to decorate, and it is a lot more done this year than last. So to catch you up to speed on the actual makeover, we ended up doing shiplap on the upstairs ceiling to cover up some old ugly boards and give the ceiling a little bit more height with exposed beams. We patched up a lot of the drywall, we painted it. I brought in an antique bed and a rug. In addition to the pillowcases from American Blossom Linens, I also found 2 embroidery edge pillowcases recently at a thrift shop. I believe they were about $4, so that was a good find. I also brought in a quilt and a knit blanket and some cozy pillows, all to make this bed a little bit more comfortable. We also hung some lights in this room. We just did plug-in sconces because there were 2 outlets there. I didn't really feel like messing with wiring anything in and tearing anything apart. We are going minimal on this cottage. As little work as possible is kind of what we're doing. So it made more sense, even though in my main house I'd probably have something wired in. We just plugged them in. I also found a hanging pendant that plugs in as well because the previous pendant was also plugged in. So a lot of wires running through to plug lamps and light fixtures in, but that's what we're working with. I also found this adorable chair. I forget now, but I think it was around $20 on Facebook Marketplace. Now, I still didn't get our railing installed. That's just on the plans, but I haven't done it yet. And since it's not happening before Christmas decorating time, I decided just to embrace the one we have currently, add some garland, make it pretty, and that other one will be coming soon, and I'll be able to decorate it in time for next year's Christmas. Downstairs, we also painted the walls, and you might notice that the blue is just like the blue on the exterior. Here's the thing, I did not even mean to do that. I did not pick the same color. I just went to Lowe's, grabbed the little paint swatches, and picked a color that I liked. And until it was up on the wall, I had no clue that I basically chose the exact same color just by a different brand. Apparently I love this color of blue. So I don't know, it's not really my favorite that it's the exact same as the outside, so maybe eventually I'll change it. I might just change it to the same tan color that we have upstairs, so we'll see. And I'm not gonna tell Luke that anytime soon. I was trying to go for a little color down here, and I always love blue, so that's what I went with, and I picked the exact same blue without realizing it. I will leave the names of the paint colors when I look back through my notes that we painted in here. For the mantle, the kids and I made some dried oranges. I hung a dried orange garland. I hung a faux garland that I bought last year. I absolutely love these faux garlands. I actually ordered a few more this year so that they can go up the steps in our main house and then go on the mantle. They just look really real and beautiful, and it's nice year after year to not have to go foraging for fresh greenery, although that's beautiful. It just makes it really easy. So that's what we went with. I brought out some grain sex stockings that I made. I have a tutorial for this on the blog if you want to make these for you. I also added some faux candles. That way we can have nice little twinkly lights in here at night, but not risk fire. And then I have my lovely trees that my friend Kelly, a local potter, made for me. Again, all sources will be linked below. A vintage thrifted mirror, and that's it for the mantle. I brought in a chair that I found for free, and I did a little makeover on it. There'll be a link in the description box below for that video. I added some thrifted fabric and some fabric that I embroidered with my embroidery machine and really went with the blue and white theme that I have going on in here. I also brought in an accordion peg rack over on this beadboard-ish looking wall. It's not really beadboard, it's just boards, but it's really pretty and charming and I love it. So I brought that in and added a greenery swag that I made with a couple of bells and some faux greenery and some black ribbon. On the floor I have a vintage inspired rug from Fame Rugs, and I really wanted a vintage rug in here, but this one just was really pretty and inexpensive, and so perfect for this space. I didn't want one that was very large. Eventually I want more seating in here, but all I have at the moment is the chair, so we'll have to, once the tree is gone, a small love seat on that side will be really perfect. For the tree, I got these little wooden, they're actually called gift wrapping toppers, but I thought they were really pretty. I liked the very minimal feel of it. You can tell I'm not going with traditional Christmas colors in this cottage. I am going for that in the main farmhouse. I'm going for all traditional and red. I even bought a snowman mug this year. That's how traditional I'm going. I'm pretty excited about that, but I still wanted the minimal cottage green blue thing in here, and so that's why I went with these little wooden gift topper ornaments. And then I just wrapped the tree with some burlap grain sack looking ribbon, and then I used a cable knit wool tree skirt. So it was a pre-lit tree. I got it really inexpensive the other day. They were having a sale. I don't remember how much it was, but it was pretty darn cheap, which is good for this cottage because it's not the main house, but I wanted to make it cute and we can enjoy it all this year. I imagine the kids coming in here, turning on the lights at night, getting the heater going, maybe possibly the fire going, but probably not with the stockings, and just enjoying another little cozy area for Christmas. Actually today I went and got, well, let's just tell the whole story. This morning my sister had her baby, and I know that by the time this is out, that'll be out all over the place. She'll be telling her birth story over on her channel, Our Oily House. But she had her baby, and I'd already told someone I was gonna pick up this table. So it actually worked out really great because I was already out that way whenever she was having her baby, and then I just went and got this table. So it worked out really great. It's an old, I think probably at least 100-year-old oak table with a drawer. I kind of imagined it'd be a little bit shorter and I was gonna put it upstairs, but since it wasn't, I decided to leave it downstairs. We're gonna put a little coffee station on there. That's where the Berkey will go. And then a couple of tall bar stool type chairs to put up to it for guests. So the perfect little addition. And I also wanted to hang up my painting from my friend Sarah Jo here above this table. Now eventually that might go in the farmhouse, but right now this just was a perfect, beautiful place for it. Today I'm gonna show you a project that I did by repurposing an old sweater, and that is some really fun little DIY ornaments that take no time at all. If you watched my last video, you know that I pulled my favorite sweater out of storage this year after being pregnant, and discovered that probably a moth or a mouse or something ripped a hole right in the front of it. It was my favorite sweater. And so I did a couple of repurposing projects to at least get some use out of my favorite cable knit sweater. So I showed you in my last video how to make this piping and grain sack pillow cover with the old sweater. And today I'm gonna show you how I made these very simple little ornaments that look really pretty on my natural neutral farmhouse Christmas tree. So for this project, you'll need some 3-inch embroidery hoops, a old sweater, obviously, a little bit of neutral fabric. You can use drop cloth, a white cotton canvas duck, or a grain sack, which is what I used in this case, some ribbon, and then a few little embellishments. I used some faux greenery as well as little bells. Now I'll link some sources for these in the description box, but they weren't very expensive at all and they were super easy. I started by laying a 5-inch by 5-inch piece of the sweater on a flat work surface. Now I made sure to cut a part of the sweater that was really pretty. So on the sleeve, there was a strip of cable knit that I thought was really pretty. There was a few other patterns, but they didn't fit nicely in my hoop. So I focused on this strip of cable knit. On top of that, I laid the same size 5-inch by 5-inch piece of grain sack fabric. It's just what I had laying around. Then I laid the inside of the hoop down, laid those 2 pieces of fabric on top of it, and then fit the outside hoop part on top of that. Now I did have to unscrew them fully to fit that amount of bulk within the 2 hoops. After that, I cut a little strip of ribbon and I just tied it in a knot around the top screw here on the hoop. Now that just acts as the loop to hang this on the tree. After that, I cut another longer piece of ribbon and I thread that through the top of a little bell that I'd found. Then I just put a piece of greenery into the top of the bell piece as well, and then pulled that ribbon back through the top and then tied a knot in it. Now, obviously, this is a really short tutorial. That was all there was to it. It was so simple to make. I went ahead and made 3 of them and then added them to my farmhouse Christmas tree. Now, in my full Christmas tree video that I did a few weeks ago, I made some of these ornaments with just the grain sack fabric. So these kind of coordinate nicely. It's nice to have a couple sets. So I have 3 of the grain sack fabric in the navy blue, and then I have these with the navy blue coordinating ribbon, and then the texture from the sweater as well as a few other festive touches, and they all look really pretty together on my neutral tree. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the description below, as well as the video for how to make the pillow cover from the sweater. Now, I'm trying to think of a few other ideas because I still have a little bit of sweater left, and I like so much how these projects turned out and thinking maybe I should make something else from sweaters. I also think that these little DIY ornaments would be really pretty on a handmade gift basket. So last year I shared on my channel a handmade gift basket idea. It has a homemade lip balm and body butter and candle, and I have some printable labels. I did a whole gift basket, so if you want to make a handmade gift, I'll link that in the cards and down below because that's perfect. But you could hang some of these little ornaments on that basket and it'd be even more festive and pretty. You could also just use this for wrapping. So you could do like a brown paper bag, neutral type of wrapping, and then put this on top for a little bit of decor, and that'd be a really special touch to make your packages stand out. I went out and clipped some greenery from the same tree that I do every single year. This has become an annual tradition to bring this around my house. And I also grabbed a tote out of the basement with some of my favorite Christmas kitchen decor. So we're gonna swap out a few things.
I was waiting until to put the other ones on so I can get you.
Can you tell me about what you got going on here?
I chopped down a tree so I can, and then adjust it. Mom, because you're taller, can you put the ones on the top?
Hold on. Yeah, well, hold on. Let me first.
Because the top's feeling left out.
This is nice, Eli.
You like it?
You got your very own tree. Wow.
Not for next year, it'll be rotten by then.
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonboone.com, and today we're going to decorate our bedroom for Christmas. We've been doing a lot of Christmas decorating around here now that Thanksgiving is past. And so today we're tackling the bedroom. I'm just going to keep it really simple in here, add a few touches, switching it over from fall. Not gonna go all out, but definitely going to add a little bit of holiday cheer. For this makeover, I brought in some flannel sheets. I like to dress the bed with the seasons. Now we do, of course, have air conditioning and heating in our house, but we are the type to keep it cooler in the winter and a lot warmer in the summer. Actually, over the summer, we hardly turn on our air conditioner at all. We just open the windows most of the time. And so I dress the bed with linen and light blankets. For this season, I brought in some red flannel sheets just to get things really cozy, our down comforter, linen duvet, and a linen blanket. I also made some pillow covers. So I was trying to decide what kind of pillows I would put for decorative pillows. And since I already bought the design that I use for the chair in my chair makeover video, I decided to get my embroidery machine back out, stitch out that pattern in red thread on some linen, and then make pillow covers. So I also purchased some red linen, used some cotton cording, put a little detail around the outside edge, and made a couple of pillow covers to just be custom and handmade. I always like to add elements like that into my spaces so they don't look like everyone else's, and then I can just add my own personal spin. In my fall tour, I had some dried leaves in the ironstone pitchers on the two nightstands by me and Luke's bed. And I ended up grabbing some faux greenery with some red berries and pine cones just to make it festive. And then, you know, I love faux greenery. I use a lot of real greenery too. I like to go out and snip it, but it's just great because I can use this year after year. I can store it away in the basement. Next year, bring it out just the same. I also added one of my handmade jar candles to the nightstand. I brought in a couple of bells and just made them really simple and elegant. Now, behind me, you will see some wreaths on our armoire. In our house, we don't have any closets, so we have to utilize armoires for storage. I found some wreaths. You will see that I have gone wreath crazy. I love small wreaths. I like putting them on just about every china cabinet, armoire, hutch. It just makes them festive. It's pretty. I'm adding to my collection of wreaths pretty much every year. I found these. They were really inexpensive. I added some red ribbon, and then I have my trick for hanging wreaths on hutches and cabinets. I just put an upside down command hook on the back of the doors. That way, whenever I slip it on, it'll stay up and then it's damage free. And on a lot of my cabinets, I actually just left them and so that I can swap wreaths out throughout the year. So I could, of course, put different wreaths here. Maybe a boxwood later in the season would be really great. And I just love the touch that it adds. behind the camera, I have our blue milk painted dresser. To that, I added a red rug. Now, I saw the rug, I thought the texture was really beautiful, and instead of using it as a rug, I just folded it a little bit, put it on top of the dresser, added some faux greenery. Then I was just playing with it. You know, I thought, why not add some more of the red ribbon since I have more? I added some orange slices and bells, and then I added taper candles to my Victorian candle holder, which I found at an antique shop at one point. I am going to do some Christmassy things today. I have been decorating our home in stages. Showed you the bedroom, did the shelves behind me and the steps, and today I'm gonna finish up our Christmas tree. I might add a little bit of decor to the front porch, keeping it pretty basic. I was actually at the store yesterday and I was tempted to buy a whole bunch of lights for the front porch because we've never had a whole lot. And then I was about to grab them because I really like the idea and I want them up, but then I also just don't want to put them up. So I think we're gonna keep it a little bit easier this year. With the new baby, we feel a little busy, still transitioning. So it is already pushing 11 o'clock. We've spent the entire morning homeschooling. Luke and I have been tag teaming that, so I will work on math with this kid while he works on reading with this kid. We do a lot of the independent things. And then this time right now, he takes them. Today, currently, it's actually nice out, which is random, outside, and he's doing a group thing. So I'm gonna work on a little bit while that happens and then get lunch going, and then I'll have nap time to work on a little bit more. I already started the Christmas tree in this last week. I had lots of help. Today I'm gonna finish it up without help. Those little boys are very interested. I'm hoping that the interest kind of wears off because it's already been up for about a week, and I think that maybe they'll start to think that it's just old news, because otherwise it's just gonna get kind of tore apart. For our tree this year, I didn't really buy anything new except this ticking stripe ribbon. I wanted to have sort of a traditional red and white Christmas, red, white, and green, and still keeping with the country theme, which is why I did get this ribbon. So I added that to the tree, as well as some red bows. I had some red ornaments from last year. Some of them got broken because they're pretty cheap ornaments, so I'm just hot gluing some strings to the top of them so that they can go back on the tree. I also added some berries and pulled some things out of the basement. Now, I did use a lot of my favorite ornaments on the tree in the cottage, so we're just kind of making do. I did not spend a whole lot of time thinking through my Christmas decor this year, as you can imagine. living in an old house means that there are not outlets where you want them to be. So the spot that worked for the Christmas tree has nothing near it. I tried just putting it under the rug. Of course, that didn't work for the kids. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run an extension cord all the way from the outlet to the under the rug to the tree. No lights are gonna go under the rug because that did not work. And then I'm going to actually tape it down, like really strong tape. So maybe this will actually work. I tried it with packing tape, that did not work. So this is just making do. I mean, ideally we would get another outlet put in, but this is where we currently are. Okay, that feels a lot stronger. For the front porch, I went and cut some greenery from a couple of our evergreen trees and just made a little arrangement of greenery and pine cones to sort of fill out those crocks. I also did pick up in town yesterday a cedar garland to hang over the door, and then I brought out the same wreath that we use every year on the front door. I've never actually done a garland on this door, and it has a transom. So I'm not totally sure if it's gonna look better to go above the transom or below it. I'm kind of thinking below it. We shall see. I got some command hooks, so I'm hoping that will work if I put several of them to hold it up there. Oh, this is garland's longer than I thought it was. Where's the tree that has all this?
I don't know.
It's my favorite.
I don't know if the cedar berries. I don't know if the cedar tree will have it, or I think they brought that with them and left it.
Who?
The photographers.
Oh, I was thinking somebody cut it here, and I was like,
Well,
ah.
I don't know if they cut it here, but
No, I'm sure they didn't. I didn't know they brought that.
I think they did.
Well, shoot, I wanted more of this. I picked up a potted rosemary yesterday at the store. I meant to dig up the one in our garden before the first frost, but I did not get to that. So I picked up this rosemary And since it didn't come in a pot that I really loved, I decided to wrap the bottom of it with some more of my ticking stripe ribbon and hot glue it on just so that it looks festive and I can keep it all through the year using it and cutting from it. I'm struggling to figure out how to cover up this seam here. Keep thinking of different ideas. I think I'm gonna try to wrap it with this twine instead. So that might be good. I'm gonna just unwind some and then just tie that. I keep trying things and then they don't work how I expect them to. Christmas is just around the corner, and it's this time of year, usually every year, that I like to share something on here that would make the most special, easy Christmas morning breakfast. Now for me, a Christmas morning breakfast is something that is obviously delicious and special, something that you might not make every morning, but also easy or can be prepped ahead of time, ideally, so that way you're not in the kitchen while the kids are opening presents or whatever traditions you may have. Today, I'm gonna be sharing with you my sourdough bread pudding. This is a new recipe on the blog. It starts with one of my homemade sourdough brioche loaves, which I've shared here on this channel how to make. It's a very simple, easy bread for beginners. All you really need is basic ingredients and a sourdough starter and a mixer. Now what's great about this recipe is you can prepare the bread several days ahead. It does not have to be the sourdough brioche. I do find the best results with that, but you could use week-old sourdough French bread or just your basic sourdough loaf, whatever it is you use. This recipe will work for it, but today I am gonna show you with the brioche. It's like French toast casserole, but a bread pudding typically has more milk, less eggs. And I'm gonna top it with a vanilla glaze sauce and raisins, making it that much more special. I'm starting this recipe by cutting one loaf of sourdough brioche into small cubes. Now, of course, you can use bread that you baked a couple hours ago or day-old bread. It actually does tend to soak up the liquid a little bit better whenever the bread's a bit older, but I've also used very fresh bread and that has been wonderful as well.
And here's a handmade, trusty friend, and here's a hand of mine. We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne. For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne. We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne.
I'm adding to this medium saucepan 3 cups milk, a 1/4 cup of butter, a teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of cinnamon, 3/4 cup sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon salt. I just want to heat it up until the butter melts and the sugar dissolves, but I don't want it to be so hot that it'll cook the eggs, so I don't heat it super long.
Should old acquaintance be forgot?
I am preheating my oven to 350 degrees while I prep the rest of this bread pudding.
Should old acquaintance be forgot in days of old lang syne?
Next, I'm adding 4 eggs to a bowl that I will scramble and then add in my milk sugar mixture. Again, I pour it in really slowly to make sure that the eggs don't cook. If you do it that way, this in a sense tempers the eggs, but definitely be sure that you're not pouring super hot liquid on the eggs. Once the liquid portion is all incorporated and bubbly, I add in my sourdough brioche cubes and allow it to soak up in the mixture. This is the point that you could put it into a pan and just put it in the fridge with some foil overnight and bake it Christmas morning.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It's the night of the dear Savior's birth. Lone lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth.
I grease the pan with a bit of butter and add my bread mixture. I top it with a half a cup of raisins. I like to spread the raisins out with my hands and press them in so that they sort of bake into the bread pudding. Super delicious that way.
Fall on your knees. Oh, here.
Get my bread pudding in the 350-degree oven, set my timer for 45 minutes, and get working on my vanilla sauce that makes this so comforting. I add to my small saucepan 1 cup of cream, a half a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, and a tablespoon of vanilla. I bring it to a simmer, whisking constantly in order to thicken it. Now, if you get it too thick, just add a little bit of milk or cream to thin it back down. If it doesn't get thick enough, you can cook it a little bit longer or add a touch more flour. I've never had to add more flour, so it typically thickens up really well.
Glowing hard by his cradle we stand, lit by light, our stars sweetly gleaming. Here come the wise men from Orient land. The King of Kings laid this lowly manger in all our trials, born to be our friend or foe. On your knees. Oh, night divine, the night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born.
This truly is the most comforting, delicious, perfect Christmas morning breakfast. It has the balance of being very simple. You could get the bread going a couple days before Christmas or even up to a week before. Get the bread pudding all put together the night before, pop it in the refrigerator, bake it in the morning, top it with your vanilla glaze. If you want to make the vanilla glaze a day before, you just need to warm it up before drizzling it on because it does thicken once it's cool. Sprinkle with some powdered sugar if you're feeling extra fancy and maybe festive. Kind of looks like snow. I think your whole family will be very pleased with this. Now that it's past Thanksgiving, it is officially time to dive into the Christmas season, and I'm really ready to embrace that. I have crafts I want to do with the kids. We have an annual tradition of making gingerbread houses from scratch. Well, I think this might be like 2nd or 3rd annual, but now that the kids are a little bit older, we can do that. We have some events in a town nearby us. Every year there's a parade after Thanksgiving to kick off the Christmas season. It's so fun. We have another event in town that the kids love to participate in, a lot of Christmas crafts and music. So I'm gonna take you along with all of that. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I'm putting in my kids' stockings and how we're dealing with the gift situation. So join me for a fun and festive Christmas weekend. We had a bit of trouble with our gingerbread house in the back. We realized the mistake we made was not cooking the gingerbread long enough, so it was a bit soft and that made the roof collapse in. So we made some more and then we made another batch of royal icing. The way that we get that to be very gluey for this is by adding in meringue powder and adding in a bit extra of that, making it a very thick icing. We were able to keep the second one together, which hooray for messy traditions. Okay, you'll have to pardon the loud noise. Theodore is down for his nap right there. And so I have a noisemaker on because if I don't during his nap, it will quickly, as soon as somebody runs in the front door, it'll be over. So I have coffee and I'm gonna show you my kids' stockings this year. And I've been kind of collecting things and honestly, I'm not 100% sure where I'm at, which is why I need to do this. Here are the stockings. I have one for all the kids. We don't yet have Theo's personalized one, but I have everybody else's personalized stocking. That's something my mom does. And it is a tradition for me to fill my kids' stockings every year. We don't do Santa Claus. We just have these sitting out and this is what the kids get in the morning. Now, another thing that we've never really done is a lot of gifts. Now, the reason for that, there's a couple of reasons for it. One is my kids are extremely blessed to have lots of grandparents in their lives. My grandma passed away this year, but up until this year, this is the first Christmas, they've had, let's see here, 5 grandmas, now 4. Luke's mom, my mom, and then Luke's 2 grandmas are all alive and in the picture. And so because of that, we have a Christmas morning where my mother-in-law and father-in-law get the kids all presents. We have a family Christmas that's with my extended family, so all my cousins, aunts, and uncles that a Santa comes to, and my mom gets all the kids in the family a gift from that. We have a tradition where every year my dad likes to do his own separate thing, which, you know, my mom and dad get the kids all gifts, but then he likes to do his own thing where we all go to the store and the kids all pick out something. And because now I have 7 kids and my sister has 6, this just gets crazier and crazier every year. And soon another sister of mine is having a baby, so by next year it'll just be crazy. But anyways, we all go to the store with my dad and he picks them all out something that they all want. So with all of that, I have nothing against getting my kids a little collection of gifts. But if I were to also go all in, then they would have so much stuff that they don't even remember. I've done this in the past. They don't even remember what it was that I got them because it's just in with all of these new things. Honestly, kids probably need like 1 or 2 gifts in order for them to appreciate them. Another reason is we're homeschoolers. And so whenever my kids have an interest, like say they want to learn to sew, or they want to try some robotics thing, any craft, any hobby, whether it's cooking, like one of my kids, she likes to get all of the tools and supplies for making a beautiful pie or making like a tiered cake. And then one of my daughters and one of my sons, they both have their own sewing machine and fabric, and they have an app for learning how to play piano, and they're subscribed to this certain box where they build something every month. So whenever they want something that I feel like they can learn from, I get it, no matter what time of year it is. And so I don't feel like I need to shower them with a bunch of gifts on Christmas morning. So with that being said, usually I just fill their stockings. Now, this year I did get each of them like one thing, not something super expensive that isn't going to fit in the stockings. So I still did get them one thing, but mostly I'm just doing consumables in the stockings. So what I like to do is a lot of like candy, which I think it usually does surprise people whenever I allow my kids to have candy, but we are healthy at home and I am totally fine with there being special occasions and them having stuff like that. So with that, every year they have gotten these chocolate oranges, and my daughter reminded me the other day, she's like, the only thing I'm excited for in my stocking is a chocolate orange. So I got them each one of these chocolate oranges. This started as a tradition when I was a kid. My mom always got us these, and so that's how I introduced my kids to them, and they love them. They're still available today. So I just have a chocolate orange for 6, not Theodore. Okay, I picked up a couple of hand sewing needles for my son and daughter who like to sew. Now they like to sew with the sewing machine, but for sewing on buttons or just little projects they like to do with their hands, we're always needing more of these, and so I know they'll appreciate that. I got this to distribute between the younger boys, well, not Theo, but the 3 and 5-year-olds stockings. Okay, so with each kid getting one big thing, I got my oldest daughter this, she likes Lego sets still. And we went to New York City this year with my mom and my sister. I took the 2 girls, and so I thought she would really find this fun. So I got her that. This is the one thing for my 6-year-old. This is just a $20 RC car. It'll just make his morning. I bought these plastic refills because we have the 3D doodler pen that the kids love. And I didn't really expect them to be this long. I ordered them on Amazon, and I didn't quite expect them to be this long. I was kind of thinking I was to distribute them between all the kids who enjoy this project, but I'm not sure I want to open them. So I'm either going to open them and put them in Ziplocs and get them in all the stockings, or just put them in the 2 kids who enjoy it most, which also happen to be the same ones as the needles. Now, this is why I usually do this. I just start getting stuff out, filling stockings up, and then I might have an occasion where, oh, this kid needs a little something else, or these kids got too much. With 7 kids, that's just what's gonna happen. I got these crayons for my 3-year-old and a little toddler coloring book. Now the other day I was at Target, and I kind of, sometimes this happens with Christmas where you start picking up things and you're like, wait, what did I get and who has what? And so I grabbed this little Etch-a-Sketch and this little Light Bright because I thought that they would fit into the stockings nicely, but I'm still not 100% sure who's getting them. But I know that any of my kids would like that. This is a tradition every year. I got the kids, they all have personalized mugs. Well, actually 3 of them do. Last year I ordered the 4 oldest kids all personalized mugs from Etsy. One of them came damaged and I didn't have time to get a new one because I ordered too late. So this year I ordered, I'll insert a picture here, for the other 2 older kids, is that right? Maybe 3 older kids. I think I got them through Daniel. Some non-breakable mugs that are personalized. So 3 of them already have personalized mugs, and then the other 3 are going to get personalized mugs. And then I put these little hot cocoa spoons in their stockings for Christmas morning. They get some milk from the fridge, warm it up, and then we put these in, and that's just been a tradition of us doing that. I think last year I might have done cocoa bombs, but either way, they get some way of having a Christmas morning cocoa in their personalized mug. And then another tradition, I always put bar bars in there, again with the consumables. This is all very fun to open, but then when it's gone, it's gone. There's only a few toys here, which I just like because, like I said, there's so much Christmas morning. Fruit snacks, another thing I put in. This, I will probably put like 4 or 5 of these in Theo's, and maybe between now and Christmas, I'll go get like a couple squeezy baby food type things to throw in his, but I don't worry much about the baby. They don't know what's going on, honestly. If he just has a stocking with a few of these in there, he'll be more than pleased. So I'm not gonna stress about that. If I end up at the store, maybe I'll get more, maybe I'll throw like 1 Lara bar in his as well. And then this was the big gift for my 9-year-old. So I have my 13-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old. I have a dress I need to go get that I ordered online for my 12-year-old daughter because she likes that. Play-Doh for the little boys. Maybe I'll throw this in one of the little boys because I think I don't have much for my 5-year-old. Actually, this will probably be for him. We'll see. I'm gonna fill these things and see where we're at with this. Okay, I just had to sneak into Theo's room, so hopefully he's not awake, and get a few things I forgot about. Just the cutest dress. My daughter loves dresses. One of them does, one of them doesn't care about clothes. It's not even the oldest one who cares more about clothes, but nonetheless, this she will absolutely love. She likes anything that looks old-fashioned, like prairie or Victorian, she says, so that'll be cute for her. This is why you'd fill stockings early before you collect too much stuff. This is another one, kind of similar in style. And then I totally forgot that my 7-year-old picked him up a belt and a little, I got this at an antique shop. It's a little like tools holder. This is something he will absolutely love. Now I did also get him that cheap RC car just because if this is all he gets for his like morning toy while they're playing around, you know, I don't want him to be disappointed, but he'll like that. And then I picked up a few cheap Hot Wheels. I'm probably gonna unpackage these, maybe, I don't know. I'll have to see how things fit. You're gonna tar yours or toast it, buddy? Micah, that's probably good. You just sure did, Sam.
You put that on your Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Willie? He closed his eyes.
1, 2, 3. Hey, stay there, because I want to wait for it. Alrighty, please say cheese.
Probably would need some better fencing to get him at the old home.
That one has really, really small antlers.
Probably,
doesn't it?
It's a young one.
My hope is that you and your family are making some fun Christmas memories and traditions this year. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new, please hit that subscribe. I make new videos every week on food from scratch, natural living, and a handmade home. Merry Christmas to you, and thank you so much for stopping by our farmhouse.